I can extract health points. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51 I am good at making trouble. What? Qin Luming asked strangely. It's nothing. Then have you thought about it? Should you wait to die or join in obediently? Do I have any choice? Qin Luming gave up completely. As long as he could survive, there would always be a way. The team system has a merge function, that is, two teams can be directly merged into one team as long as Qin Luming applies to Li Xiao for team merger. All members of Team Luming will belong to Team Xiao after approval. This can save the waiting period for team disbandment announcements and the calling off period for players to quit the team. Qin Luming quickly sent the application, followed by the list of merged members. When he flipped to the end, he was surprised to find that the Luming team already had member number 37. And when Qin Luming saw the number of people in Team Xiao, he spurted out blood. His team was smaller than his own. How could he expect them to develop to 10,000 resources a day? It was already too late to regret it. The Luming team was disbanded the moment they merged. Even if the old members wanted to quit, it would be a month later. Through understanding, Li Xiao learned that the Luming team had territory in 2 towns before, so he directly took the initiative to take out those 2 towns and divide them equally. Although Qin Luming had strong opinions, Li Xiao told him that resources would be distributed evenly in the future, and allocating resource areas individually would only create barriers between team members. However, after 2 days of struggling, Li Xiao found that his resources still did not increase much, only increasing by 1 or 2,000 every day. You still have to fight so that resources can come quickly. Li Xiao calculated his resources. The hundreds of thousands of resources in the 8th level base would be far away from a large number of people just by relying on this resource income. Therefore, Li Xiao decided to fully seize more resource areas. His first step goal was to occupy all the resource areas in the north and west of Xicheng. This is a difficult process because they will meet all kinds of people and teams. In short, no matter what method you use, if you want resources, join the team. If you don't join, you will only perish. Li Xiao said at the 4-person meeting of Lunian, Yongchang, and Qin Luming. This is the reality. We can't sympathize with others because no one sympathizes with us, then that's all, Qin Luming said. In the next week, the Xiao team fought almost every day. Relying on the terrifying durability of the Li Xiao Tiger off-road vehicle, they quickly occupied 5 small towns in the west of Xicheng. During this period, the 2 teams accepted the terms of the merger, but a team of 30 people resisted desperately. Li Xiao had no choice but to dispatch a large force to directly destroy its base camp. With the addition of some individual players, the Xiao team expanded to 120 people in a short period of time, controlling 5 large towns and several small resource points. Originally, the resources supplied by these resource areas were enough for their original team to provide more than 5,000 points per person per day, but the large increase in team members reduced this number to about 3,000. As the number of members increased to this level, Li Xiao's 100-star coin welfare could no longer support it, and he had to announce a suspension of welfare payments. Most of the bases in the small team's base camp were destroyed by the players in the team. Li Xiao only bulldozed 8 or 9 bases and got a lot of resources, but he still had a lot to go before he could build an 8th-level base. At the end of the 2nd week of the 2nd month of arriving at Hanhe Star, Li Xiao heard important information from Yongchang. Are you sure that chemical plant can provide 80,000 rare minerals in a single day? Of course I'm sure. Team Yagami used 2,000 troops to repel a synthetic battalion stationed at the chemical plant. Now another team, Hellfire, is taking advantage of the situation. Good guy, has it actually reached the 1,000-man level battle? There were 2 billion players who crossed over at first, which sounded like a lot, but after a month of exploration, people discovered that the land area of Hanhe Star was far larger than that of Blue Star. Take Xicheng as an example. He currently controls the western suburbs of Xicheng and several square kilometers nearby. However, the actual number of players he encounters is only a few hundred, and the entire area around Xicheng is only more than 1,000. Therefore, a team with more than 100 people is considered to be a larger team at present. If there has not been a war, the average strength will be more than 5,000. Li Xiao's current team of 120 people, excluding the guard troops, can also assemble more than 3,000 troops. 80,000 rare ores are indeed very tempting, so let's go and join in the fun. Li Xiao turned off the voice, called Zhao Fipeng and drove straight to the chemical plant in the Tiger SUV. The coordinates were provided by Yongchang Liu. He had already heard fierce gunfire 2 kilometers away from the chemical plant in the northeastern suburbs. Zhao Fipeng drove the car up a hill. Li Xiao jumped out and could see the entire perimeter of the chemical plant. The chemical factory in front of them covers an area of at least 200 acres. The Yushan team mobilized more than 2,000 troops to build a solid defense line around the factory. There were dozens of light and heavy machine guns in almost every key area, and the firepower was fierce match as the attacker. The Hellfire team directly assembled 4,000 troops and placed them in the north of the chemical plant. They are currently conducting exploratory attacks. With 4,000 troops, this is a showdown. Li Xiao looked at such a spectacular fierce battle scene with deep thoughts in his heart. In fact, if the location of either of their base camps can be found, the battle will be over soon. But after the size of the team exceeds 100, it is no longer feasible to win by attacking the hometown because small teams often have dozens of players around them to help defend and keep each other together. Once such a team is discovered, they can basically be wiped out. However, the personnel composition of large teams is very complex. Although they may all be around Zichan, the members may be scattered over dozens or even hundreds of square kilometers. In this way, the possibility of forcing the enemy to retreat by stealing the base is very low, because large teams will not give up their strategic goals because of a base or you think you can push forward without distinguishing between enemies and friends. But in that case you may become the target of public criticism and besieged by a large number of players, and it is really difficult to accurately collect the base locations of most players in a large team with their current intelligence capabilities. Not only is it a matter of distance, but the manpower, material resources and time are also incalculable. However, Li Xiao thought of a different way. Li, notify the outpost of the transfer station immediately and ask them to contact Changzhou's Xianai militia organization and tell them that I have important matters to discuss. The one who is most familiar with the terrain and the environment must be Changzhou, who has been fighting guerrillas outside. The Hellfire team is also the team in the northeast, so it is definitely the most appropriate to ask Changzhou to conduct reconnaissance. Within half an hour, Changzhou responded, and Li Xiao directly sent Yang Zhao from the base to pick him up. Chapter 52, More Friends, More Paths. Changzhou didn't seem to have a good time these 2 days, and he wasn't very energetic. Li Xiao took him to see the battle situation at the chemical plant and said, "How is it? Do you have any ideas?" Changzhou said without interest, "What does the infighting among you outsiders have to do with me?" Li Xiao put his hand on his shoulder and said slowly, "You must be short of ammunition and food recently? If you can help me get the location of most of the bases of the attacking team, I will give you a batch of supplies." Changzhou looked at Li Xiao with disdain. "I'm sorry, my duty is to destroy the Black Hawk Empire, and I don't have time to help you." Li Xiao was surprised and said, "This is to destroy the Black Hawk Empire? Why?" Changzhou asked back. "Look, the armored combined regiment in Zichan doesn't have many soldiers now. The enemy can only defend the main headquarters of Zichan with a large number of infantry fighting vehicles and tanks. So what?" Li Xiao leaned on the doorframe of the SUV and smiled. "Don't worry, listen to me and tell you slowly. I am not only short of resources, but also short of people. I need to unite all the forces that can be united together to capture Zichan. You plan to attack the city?" Changzhou was immediately interested when he heard that Li Xiao was actually planning to attack Zichan. He asked, "But what does this have to do with that team? I can't tell you about coercion and induction, so as not to affect my image of justice in my mind. Anyway, if you help me get the coordinates, I still have a batch of food and ammunition, enough for you to use for 10 days and half a month. In fact, I have recorded all the bases in the surrounding area. It's just that I'll spend some time to identify them. If you really want to recapture Zichan, I can help you." "Nice. I like to people like you who are so straightforward," Li Xiao said excitedly. Li Xiao really loves people with straightforward personalities like Changzhou. After getting the coordinates, the next thing will be much easier. He opened the friend system and entered a name, Wu Chang. This Wu Chang is the captain of the Night Guard team defending the chemical plant. Yun Dongli spent a lot of effort to find out in Zichan. "Sorry, the other party rejected your friend application." "Huh? This guy is a bit arrogant." Li Xiao opened the application interface again, and this time he left a few words on the application description. At the same time, in the office building of the suburban chemical plant, a man with long curly hair, who was estimated to be almost 30 years old, was frowning as he heard the fierce gunfire outside. Next to him, a woman wearing an indigo cheongsam, with an elegant temperament and fair skin, stood in front of the table and pointed at the sketch of the chemical plant in front of her and said, "Brother Chong, the hellfire has now cut off our access in 3 directions. If we don't find a way to break the deadlock, we will be in big trouble. Brothers don't have many star coins left to buy food, I know," the long-haired man said impatiently. He stared at the table for a while, as if he had made up his mind. "If it doesn't work, I will send the reserve team." "Take a gamble, reserve team, you have to think about it. Once someone leaks your information, it will be all over. It's not that easy." "But the soldiers in your base cannot move." The long-haired man turned his head to look at the woman. Just as he was about to say something, a prompt box suddenly popped up in his field of vision. "It's this Li Xiao again. Where did this psychopath come from, huh?" The long-haired man was about to get angry when he saw the pop-up window, but suddenly his peripheral vision caught a line of words below. "You're looking for me to destroy Hellfire?" The long-haired man thought for a moment, then clicked agree and sent a voice message. The voice message was connected, and a frivolous young voice came from the other end. "Hello, Boss Wu Chong, I'm from the Xiao team, Li Xiao team. I've never heard of it, what do you want to talk to me about?" Wu Chong thought about it carefully and it seemed that he had never heard of this team. Boss Wu Chong has nearly 200 brothers under him, and a small team like us is definitely not in your eyes. I heard that you are facing some difficult problems now, and I can help you solve them. Wu Chong stroked his bangs, and Li Xiao's words attracted his attention. "Tell me." At the other end, Li Xiao's mouth curved, and his face unconsciously revealed an expression of everything being under control. "The Hellfire team, with 4,000 soldiers, is already exhausted. I can kill them at any time and save you from the fire and water. HMPH, if you want to brag, I can brag more than you," Wu Chong said. "I'm very busy. If you have time, you can go to Zichen for a stroll." Wu Chong was about to hang up. Li Xiao said quickly, "Don't worry, it doesn't matter whether I brag or not. You can try it. You won't lose whether it succeeds or not." Wu Chong was still very impatient. At this time, the Cheongsam woman came to him and advised, "You might as well listen. Judging from his tone, he is probably a person who has nothing to do." "Okay, what are the conditions?" Everyone is smart, so Wu Chong doesn't beat around the bush. "The conditions are easy to negotiate. I want a chemical plant, and the resource areas of Hellfire belong to you." "What a joke," Wu Chong said coldly. "I lost thousands of troops to conquer the chemical plant, so I will give it to you. It doesn't matter. It's your business whether to give it to you or not, but it's up to me whether to take it or not. If you don't agree, just ignore what I said. I will have to negotiate with Hellfire to destroy you first and then take over your territory." Li Xiao's words made Wu Chong unable to tell which one was true and which one was false. He glanced at the Cheongsam woman, trying to find some advice from her face. "Brother Chong, it's better to believe it than not to believe it. We can't afford to gamble." The words of the Cheongsam woman made Wu Chong make a decision. "Okay. As long as the Hellfire is destroyed, I will withdraw from the chemical plant immediately. Big brother, be generous." After hanging up the voice, Li Xiao said to Changzon, "Brother Changzon, it's up to you next." In order to ensure the execution of the militia organization, Li Xiao first paid the food and ammunition promised to Changzon. The confrontation between Hellfire and Yishen is still in a tense situation. The wisdom gate of the Hellfire team seems to have determined that Yishen has little funds and cannot support it for a long time, so it has been keeping its troops in place. Hellfire has been receiving food supplies from the periphery, and it is not panicking at all, just waiting for Yishen to break out. But the more than 200 players of Hellfire don't know that their hometown is about to be uprooted on the morning of the 3rd day after Li Xiao and Wu Chong reached an agreement. The troops in the chemical plant suddenly launched a fierce attack. The Hellfire team, who had been waiting impatiently, also fought back without hesitation. The battle between the two sides entered a white-hot stage at the beginning. Yishen even organized 2 or 3 companies of troops to try to break through the siege, but was eventually pushed back by the dense bullets of Hellfire. Near the transfer station, nearly 3,000 soldiers were divided into 30 groups, each led by several players, and everyone gathered in the forest in an orderly manner waiting for the next order. Chapter 53 Xiao Demolition Team. After finally confirming Li Xiao's deployment, Li Unian said to everyone, "In 10 minutes, I will distribute a number of coordinates to each group leader. After you get the coordinates, You must rush to the coordinate point as quickly as possible and bulldoze it. The base there. Pay attention, this is your chance to make a fortune. Bring me enough C4 explosives. If you don't have any, take out your coffin book and buy it all. Yes, clear, look, no problem. I'm familiar with this. I've blocked my old nose. Everyone in the team channel applauded in unison. It was not easy to do something as thrilling and profitable as stealing a house with an order. The 3,000 troops quickly dispersed on various vehicles outside the chemical factory on the outskirts of the city. In Hellfire's temporary command post made of wood and tarpaulins, team leader and battlefield commander Feng Zhengnan saw that something was becoming more and more strange on the battlefield. He said to the deputy captain next to him, "Yishen's offensive is wrong." The gang shouted and killed for a long time. The firepower was fierce, but only 2 or 3 companies of scattered troops came out, and there was no sign of breaking through with all their strength. The deputy captain seemed to have noticed something was wrong, but he couldn't find a clue for a while. Is it to consume our ammunition? But are they the ones who were surrounded and cut off supplies? Feng Zhengnan thought about it, and suddenly realized that his eyelids were twitching fiercely. He asked strangely, "Which eyelid is it for wealth?" "Huh?" The vice captain said without hesitation. "The left I will make you money, and the right I will make you misfortune." The right eye jumped. As soon as he finished speaking, the voice of the frontline commander suddenly came from the earphones, shouting urgently, "Captain! Look at the team channel. Something big has happened. What's going on?" Feng Zhengnan opened the team channel together with the vice captain who received the news at the same time. He saw a number of coordinates being refreshed crazily on the channel, and the team members were shouting hysterically in the team channel. After listening for dozens of seconds, Feng Zhengnan realized that the base of dozens of members of his team was attacked by a large number of troops at the same time. How is this possible? Who would know the coordinates of so many team members? And they launched an attack at the same time. These coordinates are more than 30 kilometers apart. Feng Zhengnan couldn't believe his ears. The vice captain shouted anxiously on the team channel, "Who attacked your base? Is it Yishen? It's Team Zaya Oyo? Zaya Oyo Sente, Zio, Yao Zun." In just a minute or two, the Hellfire troops who were attacking from the front suddenly collapsed, retreated backwards, and rushed away in their vehicles. Some troops even disappeared as a group while running. Feng Zhengnan and the deputy captain around him had seen this situation before. It was a scene where the soldiers were directly wiped out by the system after the base was destroyed. "Captain, this Zio team must have mastered a lot of information about our team's base. Baoki, the Night Guard team is cooperating with Zio team to contain us tonight, but our team members' bases are supposedly far apart. How could they investigate in such detail? Oh, Captain, stop it. Before the enemy hits us. Hurry back to the reinforcement base, otherwise everything will be in vain." After saying that, the vice captain didn't care anymore and rushed out of the tent and jumped on an all-terrain vehicle. Feng Zhengnan could not have imagined that his strategy of playing a safe game would change overnight, and he dragged his fat body onto the off-road vehicle. Opposite them, Wuchang and the Chongsam girl looked at the sudden collapse of the Hellfire troops with disbelief in their eyes. What method did Zio Sente use to make these people run faster than dogs? Obviously, there's no other reason than the fire in my hometown. My hometown is on fire? You are saying that Li Zio sent troops to steal the house, but how did he know the base of these 200 players? Is he a god? Although Wu Chang's expression looked indifferent now, only he knew that he was really frightened at this moment. Fortunately, he chose to cooperate with Team Zio 3 days ago, otherwise he would be the one running home desperately now. This is the scary thing about Zio team. It seems that I have never heard of it before, but it suddenly appeared like this. And it can attack multiple player bases at the same time. Zio team's numbers are definitely not weak, the Chongsam woman said seriously. Actually, I have checked about Zio team in the past 2 days, but I only know that Zio team is now very powerful in the west, with about 80 to 100 people. I didn't expect that he still has the time to intervene in the north. Wuchang turned around and left the window of the office building, and said slowly, "No matter what we have to do now is to evacuate the chemical plant immediately, dispel Team Zio's doubts, and quickly return to our hometown, otherwise we may not dare to move without permission." You destroyed Feng Zhengnan's warehouse and obtained resources. 28,700 steel, 32,000 fuel, and 3,905 rare minerals. You destroyed Feng Xiangnin's level 6 exclusive base and received resource rewards, steel 22,570, fuel 21,990, and rare ore 4,100. As the 6th level base headquarters collapsed in a cloud of smoke and dust, the entire base suddenly disappeared without a trace. Zhao Feipeng clapped his hands and said to Yiming, "Let's go, there is another goal." Li Unian was so awesome that he directly left the bases of the most fat Hellfire captain and vice captain to him. It seemed that this guy named Feng Xiangnin was preparing to upgrade the 7th level base. It's a pity that he only lacked 1,000 or so steels to make this batch of resources his own. I just don't know how many star coins this guy has. Now that the base has been demolished, the people have also ascended on the spot. Once the 2 resources arrived, Li Xiao finally had all the resources to upgrade the 8th level base, but he still lacked 6,000 star coins. Fortunately, the base resources of the deputy captain of Hellfire also had a lot of resources. Once the resources were sold to the trading center, the star coins were in hand in a full hour. More than 120 of the more than 160 bases of Hellfire were demolished. Because all players chose to save their own bases first, the troops assembled by Hellfire were all dispersed into 20 to 30 small forces. Such troops were unable to stop the demolition team of hundreds of people. Most of the players died halfway because of the explosion of the base. A few players who were closer did arrive, but unfortunately they were also like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Most of these players have transferred their main forces out, and the base is left with auxiliary support troops, and there are still some engineers collecting resources in the resource area. Therefore, the players of Xiaoyao team successfully completed the demolition task with almost no casualties, and everyone obtained resources to upgrade to at least level 5 and level 6. Chapter 54 Numbering. Of course, Li Xiao did not forget to send someone to take over Zicheng chemical plant. Li Xiao of this chemical factory directly stated that he wanted to account for 6,000 points of production. The team members who had just earned a large amount of resources thanks to Li Xiao naturally had no objections and happily accepted it. Li Xiao now has 17 engineers, including Yiming and Zhang Lang. Except for Yiming, Zhang Lang and the remaining 15 engineers have accumulated more than a month. They have basically never participated in a battle. Fight hard in the resource area. Because of this, these engineering soldiers now have the rank of private to first class, and Zhang Lang has the rank of corporal. The amount of rare minerals they collect per unit time can add up to 275 points, which can reach 5,000 or 6,000 points in a whole day. Sigh, it's too difficult to increase our military strength. In fact, if he had enough engineers, let alone 6,000, he would want half the output, and no one in the team would object. After all, he planned the entire chemical plant from beginning to end. After withdrawing Zhang Lang from the Banshan iron and steel plant, and all the engineering troops gathered at the chemical plant to collect rare minerals, Li Xiao waited for the completion of the 8th level base. 2 days later, in the eastern part of Zicheng, in a scenic area called Fengai Lake, Wuchang was sitting on a fishing position by the lake, holding a fishing rod in his hand and staring at the lake intently. The midday sun shines on the lake, the breeze blows gently, the water and sky are the same color, and the scenery is very wonderful. From time to time, you can see fish splashing in the water, and there are flowers on the shore. It is really a good place for leisure. The red float suddenly sank at 3 or 2 o'clock. Wuchang had quick eyesight and quick hands. He lifted the fishing rod and hooked a 2-kilogram crucian carp. Haha. We have fish soup for lunch today. While Wuchang was happily putting the fish into the bucket, a woman wearing a floral skirt and a white sun hat walked behind him. If you look carefully, you will see that this is the Chongsam girl who appeared in the chemical factory that day. Brother Chong, there's news that may interest you. Yeah, what's the news? Wuchang continued to put corn bait on the hook and asked casually. The woman then said, "That's it. A friend of mine met a member of Xiaoyao team at a Zicheng bar yesterday. The man drank too much and talked about the details of the battle at the chemical plant. Oh? Did you find anything?" That person mentioned a gathering point for the Xiaoyao team. They set out from there and attacked multiple bases of Hellfire, according to the coordinates given by the team commander. So I doubt that the base camp or the main members of the Xiaoyao team will nearby. Upon hearing this, Wuchang put down his fishing rod, turned around and asked, "How sure are you?" It's not clear yet, but we can send a team to investigate first. I believe we will have the results soon. Great, Wuchang said with a deep smile. Thinking about the miserable situation of the Hellfire team these days, I feel restless. as if the Xiaoyao team will attack at any time. It's better for me to strike first. You can do it right away. Arrangement, but it must be kept confidential. Don't worry, it's no problem. The woman turned around and was about to leave. But Wu Chang suddenly stopped her again. Zuanao, I'll wait for you at Donglan Farewell House tonight, okay? The woman smiled charmingly and turned to leave. Li Xiao waited for 3 days before the 8th level base was completed. This time, the base headquarters was directly transformed into an independent modern-style office building with its own guard, and the base area has also been expanded to 15,000 square meters, which is equivalent to 2 football fields. Although the military factory did not bring new vehicles this time, it did update the rifle bullet production line. This production line can produce 3 types of rifle bullets. 5.56/5, August 7, 1962 The cost is 1 steel and 1 rare ore to make 1 shot, and the production time of a single shot is 1 minute. Don't forget that only more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition can be produced in a day, but this means that starting from the 8th level base, the time travelers can get rid of the situation of only relying on seizures to obtain weapons and ammunition. Li Xiao estimated that this ammunition production speed should be improved in the later period, but the current output is actually very good. After all, you are not fighting all the time, and there is always time to accumulate. Of course, this base upgrade also once again improves the durability of the headquarters and unlocks a new building, the headquarters. With this headquarters, Li Xiao can officially reorganize the troops, appoint officers, and name them. After spending a day building the headquarters, Li Xiao was surprised to find that his team could also be organized into teams. So Li Xiao quickly asked Liu Nian to mobilize into voluntary groups, and then everyone took the group list and organized the entire team of more than 120 people into 10 combat teams, each with more than 10 players. This will make it easier to command when you go out to fight in the future. Li Xiao also checked his own troop strength. He could directly open the base information panel to get detailed information at present. He has 48 infantrymen including Di Yun and Yang Zhao, 17 engineers including Yu Ming and Zhang Lang, 5 scouts including Zhao Fipeng, 3 communications troops including Li Li, 3 cooks including Du Zidan, and machine gunner Leng He, 3 people as well as snipers Yan Yizhao and Xiao He, medical soldier Zuo Fei, and instructor Long Ming. The total force is 83 people. In addition, Li Xiao also owns 11 Tiger H9 off-road vehicles, 2 of which have a durability of more than 300,000 points. There are 12 ATV all-terrain motorcycles, 1 of which has a durability of over 30,000 points. Through the unified organization of the headquarters, Li Xiao divided the infantry into the 1st and 2nd infantry platoons, with Di Yun as the platoon leader of the 1st platoon and Yang Zhao as the platoon leader of the 2nd platoon. The 1st platoon is responsible for external operations, and the 2nd platoon is responsible for base defense. The engineers are organized into the engineering platoon, with Yu Ming as the platoon leader. Then there is Zhao Fipeng's reconnaissance squad, Li Li's communications squad, and Du Zidan's cooking squad. As for Leng He and the other 3 machine gunners, they are arranged in the 1st and 2nd platoons and the reconnaissance squad respectively. Sniper Yan Yizhao and 2 others, medical soldier Zuo Fei, and instructor Long Ming are directly commanded by Li Xiao. And no specific organization is made for the time being because the system will determine the unit number and organization size based on the number of people in the organization. So even if Li Xiao wants to change the infantry platoon and reconnaissance squad to infantry company and reconnaissance company, for the sake of good sound, he can't do it. He can only wait until the number of people reaches the organization scale in the future, and the system will automatically change the organization number. In terms of vehicle configuration, the 1st platoon is equipped with 5 Tiger H9s, the 2nd platoon is also 5, and the remaining 1 is Zhao Fipeng's of course. The 2 with the highest durability will naturally be assigned to Di Yun and Zhao Fipeng, and the remaining all-terrain motorcycles will be placed in the base for free distribution. Li Li's communication squad is usually organized independently, and will be assigned to various combat units according to the situation during combat to ensure the communication capabilities of the troops. After the reorganization, Li Xiao will no longer need to match the troops in the future battles, and the troops will be dispatched faster. That night, Li Xiao was in the command center and Liu Nian, Yun Dongliu and Qin Luming and others were connected to discuss the matter of advancing to the southern part of Xicheng. At this time, Li Li walked in. Boss Cheng Zhan, the commander of the Xianai militia organization, asked to talk to you. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55 Playing Hard to Get. Always fighting, Li Xiao frowned. He and Chang Zhan had reached an agreement on mutual defense and intelligence sharing. If Chang Zhan came to him, nothing good would come of it. Li Xiao took the satellite phone. I'm Li Xiao, Captain Li. It's really difficult to find you. I have to transfer you twice, haha. Brother Chang Zhan, why are you looking for me so late? Hesitate? That's it. Chang Zhan didn't and said directly, my reconnaissance team reported that several small groups of your alien troops have been wandering near the transfer site yesterday. Because their behavior was a bit strange, they reported it to me. Considering that you have just attacked a large team, there may be retaliation from the remaining forces, so I will inform you in advance. What? Someone is trying to figure me out. Li Xiao was very surprised. He had always asked Yongchang to station people at the transfer station, but he had never reported any suspicious targets. It seems that the warning range is still too small and there are too few patrol posts. Chang Zhan added, my people tracked one of the troops and found the coordinates of a base. It's up to you whether it's useful or not. Li Xiao muttered to himself that someone was already planning on targeting his base. This was something that he absolutely couldn't relax about. Thank you so much. This is life-saving news. I must deal with this matter immediately. I will definitely treat you to a nice meal in Xichen next time we meet. Okay, this is what you said. After hanging up the voice call, Li Xiao immediately called Yongchang and asked him to expand the search range of the second row of patrol posts to 2 kilometers outside the transfer yard at the same time. Permanent hidden sentries were deployed in 4 directions of the base. In addition, he rechecked the deployment of anti-infantry mines. He has never stopped producing these anti-infantry mines, and there are more than 100 of them so far. He has placed these anti-infantry mines on the enemy's only paths in 4 directions anyway. These mines have the identification friend or foe function, so his entry and exit will not be affected, but if the enemy comes on foot or on an all-terrain vehicle, it will definitely be fun to take off. After rearranging the base defense issues, Li Xiao called for Zhao Fipeng, and they took the reconnaissance squad to the Tiger off-road vehicle and went straight to the target base. In fact, when Li Xiao discovered that the coordinates of this base were located in the east of Xichen, he already had an idea. Among the current competitors, Team Yagami is obviously the most powerful to compete with Team Xiaoyao. Team Yushen was so scared that they gave up the chemical plant 2 days ago. Wu Chong must be unwilling to do so and wanted to find an opportunity to crush Team Xiaoyao. Li Xiao, the reconnaissance force who appeared at the transfer site this time, also felt something strange. This was basically a continuous investigation within a locked range. It was impossible for Wu Chong to discover the gathering place of the Xiaoyao team in such a short period of time. Then there may be only one reason left, and that is that someone accidentally leaked or sold information. Thinking of this, Li Xiao felt that it was necessary for Liunian to establish an anti-undercover supervision organization, otherwise the team would become larger and larger in the future, and major intelligence leaks like this would often occur. If he fails to detect it even once, the result may be death in the middle of the night. Li Xiao and the others arrived at the outskirts of the target base, so they stopped 2 kilometers away to follow up on foot. On the way, Zhao Fipeng, who was astute, immediately discovered the enemy's hidden sentinel hidden near the base. Seeing that he could no longer follow up, he could only retreat to find another opportunity. This kind of monitoring continued from night to morning. Only after Zhao Fipeng discovered that the secret sentry returned to the base did they get close to the base. This base was clearly a level 6 base. Li Xiao immediately judged that this was probably Yi Shen, or the main member of a major team. After all, there are still only a handful of 6th level bases, and Li Xiao's team has just upgraded more than 20. There was not much movement in the base all morning, but Li Xiao found the shadow of the base owner in the telescope. This guy had stayed in the headquarters all morning and never left until noon. An engineering team from his base set off in a civilian off-road vehicle, and the player also moved south with the vehicle, so Li Xiao and others immediately chased after him, but due to the large number of players in the middle, they did not dare to pursue too closely for fear of arousing suspicion, so they lost track for a while. Fortunately, they finally found traces of the player near a cement factory. There were many engineers working in the cement factory, numbering 1 to 200. After Li Xiao sent the information about the cement factory to Yongchang, it was quickly confirmed that this was the resource area occupied by the Yeshan team. so there is no doubt that the investigation team was ordered by Yongchang. Well, I happened to be full and had nothing to do. Since you want to raid my hometown, let's see who is more stubborn. Li Xiao secretly thought of countermeasures. The next day, before Li Xiao got up, Li came to report that the reconnaissance team of the Yeshan team appeared near the transfer station again. Zhao Feipeng, who had been on standby at the transfer station, asked you if he wanted to annihilate this team. After thinking about it, he suddenly made a bold decision. He walked out of the bedroom and said to Li, "Tell Zhao Feipeng immediately and ask him to let the scouts in without stopping him. In addition, notify the Xianai militia organization and ask them to help me. Pay close attention to the movements in the east and northeast." Yes, Li recorded the order and quickly turned around and left. Li Xiao had a bold idea to actively expose the location of the base. He couldn't find Wuchang's base camp now, so he could only wait for the fish to bite the bait by using static breaking. In the luxurious bedroom of a villa in Fengaiyu Lake East Linbish, Wuchang was leaning against the bed with his upper body naked, smoking, and his developed chest muscles were full of luxuriant chest hair in his arms. Zhuan Yu, with wavy curly hair, leaned against Wuchang with a blushing face, and a slender jade hand stroked the dense hair, and her snow-white and slender thighs kept rubbing against Wuchang's lower abdomen. The two were in love and tenderness, and suddenly a private message popped up in Zhuan Yu's field of vision, with only a coordinate and a character 7 written on it. Seeing this message, Zhuan Yu sat up immediately, revealing a pair of perfect jade rabbits. Brother Chang. Li Xiao's base may have been identified. What? Really? Great. Wuchang quickly threw away his cigarette butt and asked, "How sure are you?" "Almost 100%. It is a base at least equal to or even greater than level 7. Has the reconnaissance team been discovered?" "That's not what he said." Wuchang lay down again. "I feel comfortable now. Without further ado, we must gather our troops and start tomorrow night at the latest. As long as we kill this freak, the Xiaoyao team will definitely be leaderless and collapse on its own." Chapter 56, Mixiu Plank Road. Then how many troops do we need to assemble? For this kind of thing, the fewer people the better, so that it is not easy to be exposed. Li Xiao's base will definitely have less than 100 people. We can find key members and raise a few hundred people to destroy him. Okay, I'll make arrangements right away. Zuanai got up and was about to get dressed, but Wuchang stood up and pulled Zuanai back to the bed. "Don't be anxious, there's still a lot of time for tomorrow night. Let me reward you well. You once hate, After Li Xiao released the water, he became very nervous. While he asked Li Unian and Yandong Liu to start notifying the team members to prepare for the war, he secretly kept in close contact with Chang Zan for fear of missing any information. "Lao Xiao, you asked me to gather the troops. Where are you going to fight?" In the group voice chat with Yandong Liu and Li Unian asked eagerly. Ever since he demolished several Hellfire bases, he has been obsessed with that feeling and can't help himself. Li Xiao really wanted to tell them the truth, but it was a matter of life and death, so he couldn't be careless. So even though he trusted Yundong Liu and the others in his heart, he could only do this. But he could let Liu Nian let the news out. Fleeing time. Tomorrow we will detour through Qiao Town and march to the south, but the marching speed must be slower, so your target is not the resource area in the south. Yundong Liu saw what Li Xiao was thinking. Of course not. Marching to the south is just a cover-up. As for the real purpose, I can't tell you for the time being. It's not that I don't trust you, but it's a matter of my personal life and death. Liu Nian, who is already a little angry, understood Li Xiao's approach after hearing the words life and death. No matter who it is, when it comes to matters of life and death, I'm afraid the only one I can trust is myself. Remember, you must make a big splash along the way. Eventually, everyone in Zichen will know that you are going to the south to cause trouble. Okay, what about you? Me? Humph, of course I'll cook a table of delicious dishes and wait for the guests to come. After arranging the mission, Li Xiao used the 2-day recruitment order and obtained 4 infantrymen, a machine gunner, and a sniper. Li Xiao was greatly encouraged by the acquisition of 2 supporting units in a row. He assigned infantrymen and machine gunners to Yang Zhao's first row to strengthen the base's defense capabilities. Snipers were assigned to Yan Yizhao's sniper team. Early the next morning, at the transfer site, 10 groups and more than 4,000 troops began to march southward. Players along the way were trembling, fearing that their homes would be demolished along with them. Every team, listen to me. Keep the vehicle speed at 20 kilometers. From time to time, your light and heavy machine guns will fire a few shuttles at me. You are not allowed to accelerate without my permission, Liu Nian shouted loudly in the command channel. It was the first time he commanded so many troops, and he felt a little guilty. He was afraid that someone would mess up if he didn't pay attention. On the other side, Li Xiao called Chang Zhan every half hour to inquire about the situation, but did not get the information he wanted. In the eastern part of Zicheng, there is a 6th-level base that is being upgraded under the deep foothills. In the headquarters, Wu Chang shouted excitedly to the other end of the voice, Zuanayu, what a great opportunity, Team Xiaoyao actually went to fight in the south today. The battalion we have prepared is ready to go. Brother Chang, don't worry, they haven't gone far yet. Just wait another 2 hours and they'll be there, okay? Just wait a little longer, is there no news yet? Li Xiao looked at Li Li, who had been in contact. Report, the situation is still not found yet, what's going on? Is this Yagami team so cowardly? Li Xiao thought carefully for a moment and decided to ask Liu Nian to speed up the troops' march. They were currently only 10 kilometers away from the transfer site, and they would have to turn around and return in 10 minutes. Sure enough, when the main force crossed Qiao town, Li Xiao finally received information from Chang Zhan that a force of 1,000 people was heading towards the transfer site. Judging from the regular combat intelligence, this unit was obviously carefully selected. 1 to 200 civilian off-road vehicles of various types were equipped with a large number of light and heavy machine gunners, accounting for a fifth of the total force. With such a firepower configuration, even without C4 explosives, it only takes a few minutes to demolish a base. Very good, exciting enough. Li Xiao immediately ordered Yi Yun's first platoon to set up an ambush on the transfer field road, and Yang Zhao's second platoon moved forward to set up a step blocking line between the base and the transfer field. At the same time, he also began to strengthen the combat power of Yi Yun's troops. After this period of accumulation, after defeating Qin Luming last time, he didn't touch the life pool much, including this time when he demolished hundreds of Hellfire bases and killed more than 2,000 troops. Opening the life pool panel, Li Xiao saw the 2 strings of numbers and immediately felt comfortable. It was so efficient to have his teammates help him earn life points. He now has a total of 340,000 unallocated health points and 290,000 unallocated durability points. Only one of Di Yun's 5 vehicles has a durability of 300,000, and the first platoon will be the main force, so the durability value of 290,000 is equally divided among the 4 original Tiger off-road vehicles, and each vehicle can reach 1,000 plus durability. At the same time, in order to improve the output and resistance to beatings, Li Xiao thought about it and temporarily transferred the 2 machine gunners from Yang Zhao's second platoon to Di Yun. In this way, Di Yun's 5 Tiger off-road vehicles had 3 heavy machine guns. At the same time, he spent 110,000 health points to increase the health points of the 3 machine gunners to 50,000 points. Because the original health points of 2 of the machine gunners were 24,000, he saved some. In addition, Li Xiao took out 130,000 health points to supplement the new recruits under Di Yun and Zhao Fipeng, so that the average health points of these soldiers, except for officers, exceeded 6,000 points. He was not in a hurry to distribute the remaining 200,000 health points, but waited until the war to replenish them according to needs. An hour later, Chang Zhan reported that the Night Guard troops were less than 1 kilometer away from the transfer station. Li Xiao immediately ordered all troops to prepare for battle. In the Night Guard convoy, Ren Hao, the full commander today, seemed very excited. Today he was about to usher in the first and most exciting decapitation operation in his life. Captain Wu Chang had promised him that as long as he successfully killed Xiaoyao Captain Li Xiao, he would receive a bonus of 10,000 star coins and the command of 5 attack teams. Brothers, everyone, go at full speed. I heard that Li Xiao's base has been upgraded to level 7. We will definitely make a fortune if we destroy his base later. Everyone cheered, and the driver stepped on the accelerator pedal even deeper. Indeed, a surprise attack with 10 times the force was a sure win, and the more than 20 players who participated in the operation were all waiting to get a piece of the pie. Chapter 57 Syrian Tactics. Just when Ren Hao was still thinking about the beautiful thing of destroying Li Xiao, the commander player of the forward assault group suddenly reported in the team command channel, "Commander Ren, the road ahead is a bit strange. It is full of potholes and has many patches. Do you want to check it out?" "A lot of potholes." Ren Hao calmed down and thought for a moment, then said, "This is not far from Li Xiao's base. There is a transfer yard in front of it. Those patches may have been repaired by the road over time. At this point, Ren Hao paused and then said, "But it's better to be careful. This is close to the enemy's territory. Always pay attention to the movement of the forest areas on both sides. The speed of the convoy cannot stop, otherwise it will be troublesome if it is attacked. Okay. I'll lead the team around from one side first." The troops soon passed most of this bad road. Ren Haoquan looked at these potholes that stretched for hundreds of meters in the car and felt a little strange, to be honest. The Black Hawk troops are currently stretched thin and can only shorten the defense line to defend Zicheng. It is impossible to find time to build roads. As for the troops of the Xianai Republic, they have been dispersed long ago. Is the road bad? It could only be patched by local players to facilitate access, but these patches look very new, as if they were patched overnight, fixed overnight. Suddenly a bad thought flashed through Ren Hao's mind. Boom 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 boom, as if to confirm Ren Hao's sixth sense, a series of violent explosions suddenly occurred in front of the convoy. Waves of fireballs brought about extremely terrifying shock waves that instantly engulfed the off-road vehicles one after another and then flew away, stretched hundreds of meters on the road, spreading quickly like firecrackers, and the power of the explosion could even send a 2-ton car flying into the air and turning over several times. The explosion lasted for more than 10 seconds, and the sky-high flames and thick smoke quickly covered the entire convoy. The players who were full of enthusiasm half a minute ago were now terrified. Shit. We were fooled. Li Xiao was prepared. Ren Hao's mind was still nimble, and he immediately realized that this was Li Xiao's trap. The Xiaoyao troops that marched to the south in the morning walked slowly and swaggering at first, and then increased their speed. Now it seems that there is some kind of army going out to fight. It is clearly a performance team, specially performing for the Yeshan team and Wuchang. All vehicles, don't worry about anything else. Quickly rush through the blockade and attack the target point. Ren Hao didn't have time to think about anything else. Xiaoyao's team transferred 4,000 people, and there were definitely not many troops left. He had every chance to storm Li Xiao's base. In fact, this is just Ren Hao's wishful thinking. As a commander who can serve as a commander of thousands of people, how could Ren Hao not think that if the opponent can send 4,000 people as bait, there must be a certain amount of defense forces to stop him? But the explosion just now only destroyed a quarter of his troops. He still had nearly 700 troops. If he tried hard, he might have a chance. If he didn't, he would be slaughtered by Wuchang if he went back, because the strength of Team Xiaoyao has now vaguely overshadowed Yishan. Wuchang will definitely excuse himself and pull him out as a scapegoat. You must know that Wuchang once said that Xiaoyao team may have mastered the base location of all members of his Yishan team. The reason why he did not take action was because he had not found a decent excuse to appease more individual players in Zicheng. When Ren Hao's troops rushed out of the explosion area, they lost 40 or 50 vehicles. At the same time, Yiming, who was not far away, reported the results of the battle to Li Xiao through the communications unit. That's right, this time they used the old Syrian tactic of roadside bombs again. 200 C4 explosives were distributed in echelons, directly reducing the number of incoming troops by more than 20%. It's not that Li Xiao can't afford more C4s, but he's worried that there are too many patches on the ground, which will put the enemy on guard. Fortunately, Yiming succeeded once, which greatly reduced Li Xiao's defensive pressure. Very good, Zhao Feipen, you and the sniper team can cut off the enemy's rear from the side of the transfer field. Clear. As soon as he finished speaking, a Tiger cross-country and several all-terrain vehicles drove out from the transfer yard and headed straight for the road. Ren Hao, who rushed out, checked the damage. The loss of 40 or 50 vehicles was still within his acceptable range for the time being. However, they soon discovered that the road ahead had been blocked by the enemy, and 5 Tiger off-road vehicles were blocked in the middle of the road. Just 5 cars and 25 people. Seeing these 5 vehicles, Ren Hao couldn't help but want to laugh. He couldn't help but want to overturn the trap theory he had just imagined. Brother Ren, those 5 vehicles look like military off-road vehicles, and they also have heavy machine guns on them. They must be very durable, the player next to Ren Hao reminded. It doesn't matter what kind of military vehicle it is, it can survive for 10,000 years. Each of us can kill it with one shot. Rush over and blow up Li Xiao's base directly. At the command, all members of the convoy accelerated, and the 3 vehicles advanced side by side. The soldiers in the vehicles leaned out of the windows and used rifles and machine guns to fire at the 3 Tiger H-9 vehicles in the lead. However, since the national highway here is only a two-way one-way street, Ren Hao's troops can only hit the front row of Diyun's 20 or 30 vehicles at the same time. However, only with this, each of Diyun's and others' vehicles lost 1 or 2 vehicles per second. Thousands of blood, that's it. Diyun, who was originally waiting for the heavy weapons such as rocket launchers from Ren Hao's troops to fire, saw at first glance that the enemy was charging towards him, so he was not polite. 600 or 700 meters away, 3 heavy machine guns and 2 light machine guns opened fire compared to the 30-40 points of damage that rifles and light machine guns can cause to the Tiger off-road vehicle. The damage that heavy machine guns can cause to civilian off-road vehicles is as high as more than 90 points. The dense barrage formed by the 3 heavy machine guns blew up more than a dozen vehicles in a short time. Commander Ren. Something is wrong. Those vehicles have been hit by thousands of bullets in total, and none of them exploded. What? Impossible. The armored personnel carriers we attacked at the chemical plant only had 30,000 points of health. Even if this off-road vehicle is military, it can't be more tanky than an armored personnel carrier, right? After receiving the news from the frontline commander, Ren Hao was a little confused. 10 or 20 of his own vehicles were blown up, but the opponent didn't explode a single one. This is obviously not in line with common sense. Ren Hao thought about it and immediately ordered the second group in the front row, keep sweeping the vehicles, and the third group is responsible for focusing fire on the enemy machine gunners to reduce our losses. Before he finished speaking, the troops and dozens of off-road vehicles in the second group of Ren Hao's troops began to fire at the machine gunners. However, at this time, Ren Hao's convoy was blocked by the scrapped cars that kept exploding in front of them, and the speed dropped to more than 10 kilometers, and even stagnated. The distance between the two sides was still more than 400 meters. In fact, only a small part of Ren Hao's troops' bullets hit the machine gunners, and the rest either hit the cars or the air. Chapter 58, Secret Entry into Yongchang. Of course, in this situation, the HP of the machine gunners and the 2 riflemen who were in the machine gun firing position at the back were also rapidly decreasing. Li Xiao, who was watching the battle from a distance, had to keep replenishing his HP. The durability of the off-road vehicle that Ren Hao's troops had just blown up was also replenished by Li Xiao to the 3 vehicles with less HP. Relying on this way of replenishing HP while fighting, Diyun and his team managed to hold on for 2 or 3 minutes and still remained strong. Commander Ren. The enemy machine gunners are also problematic. Just like his boss, they were hit by hundreds of bullets without blinking. Fuck. It's poisonous? Ren Hao was anxious. At this moment, more than half of his troops had been lost. Li Xiao looked at the troops who looked more and more like they had eaten maggots through the telescope, and he wanted to laugh, and his heart replenished 3,000 to 5,000 horsepower every half a minute in the 5 fire output positions. It was so stable. In addition, more than 20 riflemen focused on attacking the soldiers who showed their heads on the opposite side to weaken the enemy's firepower. Sometimes, not only did they not lose HP, but they also increased some HP. Damn it. Ignore them for now, speed up and rush out, blow up his doghouse first. However, the order was easy to give, but the operation was not so easy. The off-road vehicle in front was indeed accelerating, but they were constantly shot by heavy machine guns, and they were paralyzed on the roadway. The following cars were not armored vehicles with strong horsepower and thick skin, so they could not be knocked open. Seeing that the convoy was getting closer and closer to the enemy, but no one could rush to Diyun intact, Ren Hao had to make a bold decision. Listen. The 4th and 5th teams immediately abandoned the car and entered the woods to attack Li Xiao's base. It must be said that Ren Hao's move finally worked. Remaining 2nd and 3rd teams held up Diyun's first row on the road. After more than 300 people from the 4th and 5th teams rushed into the forest area from the shoulder of the road to get rid of the attack, they quickly ran to Li Xiao's base. As soon as they left, Zhao Fipeng's reconnaissance squad also rushed up from the rear in a Tiger H-9, and both sides simultaneously attacked Ren Hao's remaining troops on the road. Seeing that the retreat was also cut off, Ren Hao decisively abandoned the car and fled into the forest. Seeing this situation, Li Xiao immediately ordered Diyun to leave 2 military off-road vehicles equipped with heavy machine guns to continue to clear the remaining enemies with Zhao Fipeng, and the rest of the people returned to the base to assist in defense. How could a person on foot outrun a person on 4 wheels? Diyun rushed back to the base from the national highway to the north. the nearest shortcut to the base. This road was opened by Yang Zhao and his men 2 weeks ago to facilitate the passage of off-road vehicles after a round. Ren Hao and several players who escaped decided to go all out and attack Li Xiao's base. After all, they still had nearly 300 people left, and they still had an advantage in terms of manpower. But at this time, they were actually very scared, afraid of encountering the undead perverts like those on the highway again. Returning to the base, Li Xiao was actually relieved. He was very glad that in the battle with Hellfire 2 days ago, the Night Scout team basically used up the long-range heavy firepower such as rocket launchers they had captured, otherwise he really didn't know how to. Ren Hao came very quickly. More than 300 people jumped up and down in the forest like rabbits. Yan Yizhao and 3 other snipers who had been ambushed for a long time started shooting a few hundred meters away. Ren Hao's troops were knocked down defend one after another. He was so angry that he shouted, "Where are our snipers? Where did they die?" In fact, in order to maximize the firepower, Zhuan Yu, the deputy captain of the Night Scout team, only assigned them less than 20 snipers, and more than half of them died during the second group's charge. Now the remaining 5 or 6 snipers are still behind, but fortunately they are not far away and they soon caught up. So the doubled number of people gave Ren Hao's sniper team an advantage. Single-shot snipers and continuous snipers fired continuously, suppressing Yan Yizhao and his team. But Yan Yizhao and his team had much more health than these low-ranking snipers. Despite being shot on the head several times, Yan Yizhao and Xiao He fought hard to kill those people. However, Ren Hao had already rushed to a point close to 100 meters, and they lost the opportunity to continue the attack. After climbing over a small hill, the soldiers of the assault force finally saw a large base hidden deep in the woods. Ren Hao looked at the base as wide as 2 football fields and couldn't help but sigh. Why is the gap between people so big? However, the goal was in sight, and it seemed that victory was not far away. Ren Hao roared and ordered the troops to charge directly. However, when the troops rushed out of the woods and approached the base wall, Ren Hao kept making muffled explosions around him, and almost every muffled explosion was accompanied by the death of 1 or even 2 or 3 soldiers. Almost none of those who were killed by the shock wave of the muffled explosion had intact bodies. What's going on, boss? They installed mines on the road that must be passed. Our people have been hit by mines one after another, and dozens of them have died, Ren Hao said angrily. TM. How come this Li Xiao has everything? Of course, there are still more lucky troops who rushed through the minefield, but what greeted them was the defense line carefully arranged by Yang Zhao. A platoon of soldiers deployed, and 5 military off-road vehicles equipped with light and heavy machine guns came from the left side of their attack direction. Diyun's 3 vehicles blocked their right side, and immediately formed a 3-sided attack. Faced with such crazy firepower, Ren Hao was anxious. He ordered all troops to follow him to attack the south gate of the base, but the 20 or so soldiers blocking there were like door gods. No matter how they fought, no one would fall. And the people fell to the ground like wheat being cut under the 3-sided fire. Li Xiao sat on the second floor of the headquarters, looking at the battle outside the south gate in a good mood. He added the remaining 60,000 health points and the more than 70,000 of the more than 600 Night Scout troops he had just killed to the second row. This is equivalent to each soldier having 40 to 50 times the health of the enemy, plus the protection of the south gate bunker and the interference suppression of the firepower on both sides. Ren Hao's troops could not get within 100 meters at all. How is this possible? How is it possible? How is it possible? Ren Hao's incompetent rage, this feeling of weakness of being defeated inexplicably made him feel the full malice of this world for the first and last time. Bang! The 3 members of Yan Yizhao's sniper team opened fire at the same time, hitting the commander's head and chest vitals. Because he had been hit by stray bullets 3 or 4 times before, these 3 bullets directly emptied his remaining more than 200 points of health. 10 minutes later, Zhao Fipeng returned to the base. He had destroyed all the dozens of vehicles abandoned by Ren Hao on the road, and all the enemies were annihilated. For Li Xiao, these captured civilian vehicles are useless to him. Only the durability they extract is what he likes most. The battle here is over, so the battle over there can start. Li Xiao opened the team command channel. Liu Nian, Yun Dongliu, Qin Luming, lead your combat team to attack all the resource points of the Night Scout team immediately. Chapter 59. This wave is inhumane. Understood. Liu Nian received the order and immediately issued an order to each combat team leader. All troops will march to coordinates immediately. The ones Wuchang sent out to attack him were all the main forces of Yishen's team. Now that Ren Hao was killed in battle, Yishen's main force was lost. They no longer had any more vehicles or high-ranking troops to stop Xiaoyao's team, asshole. 1,000 elites can't destroy a base. It's a shame I trust him so much. Wuchang punched the table in his base headquarters. Zuanayu next to him hurriedly came up, but she also frowned slightly and looked embarrassed. Brother Chang. Ren Hao has been killed in battle, which shows that he has tried his best. Those who escaped said that Li Xiao's troops were too strange. They couldn't be beaten at all. Even if they were shot hundreds of times, they wouldn't die. It's beyond our understanding. Is this Li Xiao suffering from a bug? Or maybe he's just cheating. The system is so awesome and can teleport 2 billion of us here, why can't we just block his account and wipe him out? Wuchang shouted hysterically. Zuanai wanted to persuade him, but found that she couldn't say anything. She didn't know whether it was the difference in strength or whether Li Xiao had found some loophole, but time didn't give them much chance to think about the problem. Chaos suddenly began in Team Yishen. Everyone was saying that Team Xiaoyao had invaded their resource area, and batch after batch of engineers were mercilessly killed. When Zuanayu saw the news, he suddenly realized, but it was no longer helpful at this time. Brother Chang, the 4,000-strong troops of Xiaoyao team did not go to the south at all this morning. They waited for 2 hours in Qiao Town and are now starting to turn back. Come back and attack our resource area. It seems that this was Li Xiao's deliberate trap. I should have thought of it a long time ago. After hearing Zhuan Yu's words, Wuchang suddenly felt that his insides were about to explode with anger. A good hand of cards was so badly beaten by him. Then what should we do now? Should we send troops to fight back? Wuchang shook his head. Sending troops now plays into his hands. Once we fight with their main force, Li Xiao will take the opportunity to sneak attack on our hometown. If this continues, all our resource points will be occupied, and the team will change over time. Zuanayu couldn't help but worry. Let him occupy it for 2 days first, and then I'll think of a way. Li Xiao didn't know yet that Wuchang was worried about the safety of his hometown. What he wanted was to capture all of Yishen's resource points and force Yishen to fight him. However, after fleeting time effortlessly captured the 5 major resource towns of Yishen, Yishen still stood still. This Wuchang can really hold it back. Li Xiao was a little impressed. If they still didn't come out, he could only ask the troops to investigate base by base in the east. Haha. Lao Xiao, we are too fat now. The large resource areas on the east, west, north and west of Xicheng have been occupied by us, and the amount of resources refreshed has far exceeded the amount collected by our team. After Liu Nian calculated the reserves of their resource points, he excitedly reported the good news to Li Xiao, but Li Xiao didn't take it seriously. He only had so many engineers, and he couldn't get more reserves, so it was not useless. But this is a great thing for the team, because it means they can recruit more individual players to join, but these are not the focus now. Wuchang will not feel at ease unless Li gets rid of Wuchang's main force. Because Changzhan has not been active in the east, he does not understand the situation in the east and cannot help him lock the position of the Yagami team. In desperation, Li Xiao had no choice but to let Liu Nian lead the troops to clean up one by one, destroying all the bases encountered by the Yishen team along the way. Although this move is poisonous, it is very effective, Yun Dongliu said on the team command channel. If more and more bases are destroyed and Wuchang does nothing, there will soon be civil strife in Team Yishen. And if they come out to rescue, then we can destroy his main force and then slowly find Wuchang's hometown. This is just one of them. I have an even better way, Li Xiao said at this time. What can I do? Qin Luming and Liu Nian asked together. Li Xiao smiled mysteriously. You will know later. Worried that Wuchang was still on the move, Li Xiao did not let the first platoon follow him, but stayed at the base to seize the time to recover. He asked Zhao Fipeng to take him to join the large army. At this time, several small units had been sent forward to search and advance in the fleeting time. While the large units were clearing the target behind, soon they found the base of a member of the Yishen team. The player surrendered on the spot and begged for mercy. Li Xiao had someone bring him over. This member of the Night God is a 30-year-old man. He may feel that his life is not long, and his expression has become a little dull. Li Xiao walked up to him and asked, "Do you know where your Captain Wuchang or your deputy captain's base is?" The man was crying and replied nervously, "Brother, please let me live. I just joined the team to get some resources. I really don't know about their high-level affairs." Usually the assembly point is in the resource area, their base. I really don't know where it is. Okay, since you don't know, forget it, but please help me send a message to your team channel, saying that we are sweeping the eastern part of Zicheng, and anyone who knows the whereabouts of Wuchang will be exempted and allowed to join the Xiaoyao team. The player was stunned for a moment after hearing this. Li Xiao stared at him and said coldly, "Now, right away." Yes. The man hurriedly sent the information Li Xiao requested in the channel. After he sent it, he asked carefully, "Brother, what if we don't know the whereabouts of the team leader?" Li Xiao touched the man's head and smiled. "What do you think?" Bang 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 bang. Zhao Fipeng came over without warning and fired several shots at the man's head, killing him directly. Yun Dongliu and others on the side were all trembling, and their faces were grim. Liu Nian and Qin Luming looked at each other, as if they saw a word in each other's eyes. Really cruel. Li Xiao turned and looked at everyone. "Don't think I'm cruel. I asked him to send this message in the team channel to accelerate the internal strife of the Night God team. If I let him live, then he will tell others. Even if he doesn't say it, he can save his life. What if someone really knows and tells you?" Yun Dongliu asked curiously. "What do you think is the point of keeping such a traitor? Are you really going to let him join the team?" Hiss. Everyone took a deep breath. Li Xiao's actions were just inhumane, right? With Li Xiao's demonstration, the various combat teams of Xiaoyao team searched and handled the situation much faster. If it was a casual base, they would go to comfort and publicize it. If it was the Night God team, they would blow up the base and the people after asking questions. Chapter 60, Decisive Battle. Even if these Yagami team players quit the team, they cannot leave immediately. As long as they share the information panel, it will be clear which team they belong to. But Team Xiaoyao's actions made Wuchang's mentality explode. Yagami's team channel was full of panic, and the data on the number of members in the team system would jump every once in a while, which meant that another base had been demolished. CTMD. Are we going to kill them all immediately? Wuchang angrily cursed in the headquarters, but unfortunately Zuanai was the only one who could hear him. "Brother Chang, there are only two ways in front of us now. Either fight with the Xiaoyao team to fight for a buffer period, or disband the Yashin team and go into seclusion to recuperate from now on." Zuanai looked at Wuchang. She now realized that this man was not as confident and brave as she thought. "Disband the team. This is not a game. You can coexist peacefully by quitting the competition. I have murderous intentions for Li Xiao, and he will not let me go. Then we can only fight," Zuanai said slowly. "Fight and fight. Gather everyone, including the reserve team. The labor and management will go directly to his base." Wuchang's expression was like a tiger in a cage that would bite anyone he saw if he was let out. "Then let's give it one last try." Zuanai opened a team command channel and ordered to assemble troops. However, when all the surviving players of Team Yashin thought that their captain was finally going to take action, they were ordered to attack at an unfamiliar coordinate. Joke. People have come here to demolish their homes, and now they are thinking of ransacking their homes? Several team leaders in the team channel objected on the spot and gathered themselves to prepare for a bloody battle to the end. Seeing this situation, Wuchang, who was eager for revenge, could only compromise, so under Zhuan Yu's efficient command, they assembled nearly 5,000 troops and headed straight to the north. Troops from the two teams faced off on both sides of a wheat field. Both sides were pouring ammunition at each other, hoping to consume as much health as possible before the confrontation. Although there were 1,000 fewer troops than the enemy, the heavy firepower of the Xiaoyao team had a huge advantage. This was all due to the fact that the Li Xiao team destroyed the opponent's elite main force. What a guy. They can actually organize a force of 5,000 people. It seems that all the troops guarding the base have been mobilized. Liu Nian looked at the opposite front with a telescope. Judging from the terrain, the battlefield chosen by the Yagami team was very beneficial to them, because they occupied the higher site and had the advantage of diving attacks on the Xiaoyao team. This kind of positional warfare is very disadvantageous for us. The left-wing front line that Qin Luming was responsible for was covered with mounds with a height of more than 10 meters. If they launched an attack, the enemy would have bunkers. They would all be targets in the wheat fields. "It's okay." Yun Dongliu looked at his watch and said, "The captain has already mobilized his troops. We will launch the attack in more than 10 minutes. Li Xiao still underestimated the power of people's hearts. He originally thought that Wuchang would gather strength to attack his base again. But Yashin's troops chose to fight against a main force of Team Xiaoyao. First, from this point of view, The previous efforts were not in vain. At least Yongchang could no longer force the team members to obey orders. But in this way, they are destined to have a bloody battle. Li Xiao thought again and again and transferred the first platoon over. Without him as a human shield, Xiaoyao's main force, which was at a disadvantage both in terms of terrain and numbers, might suffer a big loss. Although he could wait another hour for the team members to bring up the reserve troops, but this was too risky, so he might as well do it himself. Fleeing time. There are 500 people on the left and right wings of the Yagami team approaching us. They want to cover up 3 of them. When everyone was waiting for Li Xiao's troops to arrive, Yun Dongliu, who was responsible for defending the right wing, suddenly shouted. Everyone looked to the left and right, and sure enough they found that a large number of troops were surrounding them, forming a siege. Upon seeing this, Li Xiao quickly asked Yun Dongliu and Qin Luming to take 1,000 men each to deploy defense lines on both sides. It is a pity that the wheat field environment cannot accommodate so many people hiding. Before they could deploy their defenses in place, Yi Shen's troops had already opened fire. The barrage came one after another, smashing the straw in the wheat field to pieces, and the blood of Xiaoyao team soldiers was spilled on the spot one after another. Fighting began on both sides, and the 4,000 troops in front of Yi Shen began to attack across the board. They stood on the mound, thousands of rounds of ammunition poured down, and the soldiers on Li Xiao's side fell one after another. However, the players on Li Xiao's side were also ruthless. They directly ordered the troops to throw smoke bombs and build a smoke screen. They fired wildly at the edge of the smoke screen to counterattack the bullets fired by both sides. Every second were denser than raindrops. Only 2 minutes into the battle, hundreds of people were killed on both sides. However, Yi Shen's troops always had an advantage in ballistics at high altitudes. The gun lines from 3 directions sandwiched the fleet and they were fighting, with a faint rhythm of making dumplings. A few minutes later, almost all of Yagami's troops rushed down from the mound into the wide wheat field, with 3,000 to 4,000 people pressing harder and harder against less than 2,000 people. Damn it! Lao Xiao, why haven't your troops arrived yet? Bullets were flying around Liunian, and he would be hit if he wasn't careful. The half-meter deep ditch formed by the only ridge in the wheat field was filled with players from Xiaoyao team, and outside were their respective troops. Yongchang didn't expect that the arrogant and domineering Xiaoyao team would be defeated by them in this way. He shouted excitedly, "Hurry up and press on. Let me blow up everyone in the pit with a pitcher mine." At this moment, Li Xiao discovered that almost all the members of Team Yeshan were rushing upwards without fear of death. He immediately understood why his troops could not hold on. First of all, the morale of Team Yeshan's last-ditch battle outweighed Team Xiaoyao's. The second thing is the strength of troops and terrain. Li Xiao was still a little anxious and eager to fight with Yi Shen. Morale is indeed important, Li Xiao sighed. What the hell is important? Where are the reinforcements? Li Unian couldn't help but curse. This was a matter of life and death. Don't panic, they are coming. Li Xiao smiled and pointed at the opposite side. As soon as he finished speaking, a large group of black shadows suddenly jumped out from behind the mound. Everyone looked carefully and found that they were 10 Tiger off-road vehicles. Haha. When did they run to the back? Li Unian was overjoyed and seemed to be resurrected in an instant. Haha. Fighting, what I am best at is stabbing in the back. The 10 Tiger off-road vehicles really pounced on the enemies in front of Li Xiao and his team like tigers descending from the mountains. The Yi Shen players who were fighting vigorously did not notice the sharp knife troops suddenly coming out from behind them. They turned back in horror until 4 heavy machine guns and dozens of assault rifles opened fire. Since the players of the Night Scout team were supervising the battle not far behind the troops, but due to the terrain, they were watching the battle at the foot of the hill in order to avoid bullets, so this wave they were out of touch with the troops. Chapter 61 Never Trust a Beautiful Woman. Diyun and the others rushed out and killed 20 or 30 players at once, and even Yongchang and others almost lost their lives. However, Diyun and the others did not continue to attack the player, but quickly attacked the Yi Shen troops line from behind, because they knew that even if they killed the player, the troops present would not disappear with the player, so the priority was to deal with the enemy troops. The unprepared enemy was instantly broken through the attack line by the Tiger off-road vehicle, and dozens of people were killed on the spot under the wheel. After the 10 off-road vehicles crossed the line, they rolled over the enemy's troops from both sides. The flat wheat fields gave the off-road vehicles excellent driving conditions, but left the soldiers of the Yagami team with nowhere to hide. Then the convoy crashed into the enemy at a speed of nearly 60 kilometers per hour. Dozens or hundreds of soldiers were crushed to the ground before they could react. The greater damage came from the heavy machine guns and rifles on the vehicles. They could shoot at these groups of troops at close range. However, the large number of bullets fired by the Yishan troops were dodged by Di Yun and the others because of the high-speed movement of the vehicles. Li Xiao saw that Di Yun's platoon had successfully disrupted the attack line of Yishan's troops, and hurriedly ordered a full-line attack through the command channel. The Tiger off-road vehicle crossed the entire front line of the Yagami team, and countless bullets were fired in an attempt to stop their brutal collision, but to no avail. In a terrain like this, neither Xiaoyo nor Yishan chose to use vehicles to charge, because the target was too big, and civilian off-road vehicles could not explode without dozens of bullets, killing 4 or 5 people in one explosion. Only those like Li Xiao, who can increase the durability of unarmored vehicles by tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, can withstand firepower and play the role of surprise and harassment. Being disturbed by the first platoon, Yishan's attack was immediately thwarted. Team Xiaoyo took the opportunity to counterattack, and the situation on the battlefield quickly reversed. Look! It's just those cars and people. It's impossible to hit them. In the team channel, the Yishan players were extremely panicked. They had all heard from others about the perverted vehicles and people in the hands of Captain Xiaoyo. When you actually encounter it, you can feel the feeling of using up all the bullets, but the enemy is still standing. Wuchang watched those off-road vehicles running wild in the wheat fields, killing and injuring his own troops. The shooters on the vehicle seemed to be immortal. After being shot hundreds of times, they still fired wildly. I wrongly blamed Ren Hao. We all underestimated the strength of this Li Xiao. He has abilities that we don't know about. This is beyond what we can handle. Unless there are more rocket launchers or anti-tank weapons, we can defeat Yi. Wuchang put his hands on his knees weakly, and Zuanai walked over. Brother Chang, let's surrender. Maybe there's a glimmer of hope. You announce it. Wuchang probably never dreamed that Yi, who threatened to destroy Team Xiaoyo yesterday, would say this today. Yishan's troops have been scattered across the board. Under the deliberate division of the off-road vehicles, they have been gradually eaten away, leaving almost no room for maneuver. At this moment, suddenly nearly 2,000 members of Yagami's troops, including players, raised their guns high with both hands, and then fell to their knees on the ground. Seeing this situation, Li Unian immediately ordered to stop firing on the team command channel. What kind of trick are Lao Xiao and the others playing? What kind of trick can it be? If you can't defeat it, you'll surrender. Qin Luming wiped his sweat. The psychological pressure of fighting in the plains was too great. When Li Xiao was wondering, a female player named Zuanayu sent him a friend request. He thought for a moment that it might be someone high up in Yagami, so he agreed. The voice connection was connected, and a very seductive and soft female voice came from the headset. Are you Captain Li Xiao? I am Deputy Captain Yishan Zuanayu. Although Li Xiao was single for 24 years before time travel, as a well-known conductor of war-type online games in the industry, it is difficult to count the number of girls he had crossed paths with at his peak. After commanding a national war involving tens of thousands of people, all the girls who asked for his contact information could form a reinforcement camp. There are many female anchors there, with voices like Lolita, Yuji, and Green Tea. People like Zuanayu are basically immune. Ah, Captain Zuanayu, is your team surrendering, Captain Li? Because we may have had various misunderstandings before. Our Captain Wuchang misjudged the relationship between the two teams, so he made some embarrassing moves, which led to today's fight. Misjudgment, Li Xiaopi said with a smile. I will help you get rid of your enemy Hellfire and get the chemical plant in exchange. This is what your captain promised. After that, have I done anything else to harm you? Is it a matter of profit? Then your captain arranged a sneak attack with elite troops. You tell me this is a misjudgment? Zuanayu didn't seem to want to explain too much, because what Li Xiao said was true. In short, the Yagami team will surrender now and will be disbanded today. I hope you can let us go for the sake of being fellow time travelers. Zuanayu's tone was sincere, but there was a hint of helplessness and unwillingness in her words. Let it go? If every guy who failed in a sneak attack and was killed in counterattack could save him life by begging to be let go, then wouldn't the world be in chaos? Then what do you want? Zuanayu's tone suddenly turned cold. Tell me the location of Wuchang's base, and then Team Yishan will merge into Xiaoyo. Is this the only condition? You must not have the intention to harm others, and you must have the intention to guard against others. I will not tolerate a person who has murderous intentions towards me to continue to live. Okay, I understand. Zhuan Yu hung up the phone call, and Li Xiao immediately asked Liu Nian to monitor all the troops. If they didn't reach an agreement, there was no guarantee that the Night Scout team would not pick up their weapons again. Seeing Zhuan Yu hang up the phone call, Wu Chang hurriedly asked, "How is it?" Did Li Xiao agree? Zhuan Yu looked at Wu Chang, with an inexplicable light and shadow flashing in her eyes. After a long pause, she said, "Li Xiao agreed, but he still has a condition." "Agreed. What condition?" "As long as it's not to disband the team and take your life, it's easy to deal with. The condition is, bang. Bang 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 bang." Zhuan Yu's 05 automatic pistol fired 7 bullets in one breath, and each bullet hit Wu Chang's head. Zhuan Yu. Wu Chang slowly fell down with an unbelievable look, and Zhuan Yu seemed to have been drained of strength and collapsed to the ground in an instant. At this time, a voice prompt came from her mind. Team leader Wu Chang was killed, and Vice Captain Zhuan Yu was automatically promoted to team leader. This reminder also resounded in the ears of all the surviving players of the Night Scout team at the same time. The team channel was in chaos. Some cheered, some sighed, and more supported Zhuan Yu. Zhuan Yu's eyes were red. She watched Wu Chang's body turn into powder, gently wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes, and stood up again. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62 Reshuffle. Her signature voice came from the team channel. "Dear teammates, the team leader Wu Chang unfortunately died in battle. Now I will take over the leadership of the team. From now on, all teammates will restrain the troops and prepare to accept the adaptation of Xiaoyao team." "What? Team Xiaoyao? Why do you want to join Xiaoyao Sente? They killed so many of us." "That's right. My friends' bases were blown up by them. Zuanao, you betrayed the team. You are not worthy of being the team leader. We need to replace someone." As soon as Zuanao said this, many people in the team spoke out against it. But Zuanao seemed to have expected this result, and he said in an orderly manner, due to his selfish impulse, the former captain Wu Chang took the initiative to provoke Team Xiaoyao first, which resulted in heavy losses for the team and the loss of all resources. So fundamentally, let's face it, the responsibility for the deaths of many of our team members does not lie with Team Xiaoyao, but with Wu Chang. As soon as she finished speaking, someone in the team immediately agreed. "Yes. Wu Chang sent his elite to sneak attack on Captain Xiaoyao's on. He didn't tell us captains at all. He was clearly treating us as outsiders. Wu Chang is using us as cannon fodder. I fully support Miss Zuanao. Dismiss Yagami. I don't want to stay anymore. Team Xiaoyao is now the only one. We time travelers are not easy to get along with, so we have to stick together." If Li Xiao were in the team channel, he would definitely be amazed by Zuanao's ability to set the pace. He can change the direction of public opinion in just a few words. This kind of dominance and adaptability is terrifying to think about. Li Xiao was still waiting for Team Yeshin's decision, but Liu Nian came over with a 30-year-old man with a beard before he even got close. Li Xiao smelled the intoxicating smell of alcohol. He frowned and asked Liu Nian, "Who is this person?" Liu Nian kicked the man and said angrily, "You can explain it to the captain yourself." "Explain." Li Xiao was a little confused. When he walked up to this person, he had no impression that he had seen him before. When Liu Nian said this, the man started crying. His voice sounded like a scalper. Li Xiao quickly waved his hand to stop. "Stop, stop, stop. I really don't have time to listen to you howling here. What on earth do you want to explain?" The man cried and said, "Captain, I really didn't mean to leak the information. I was really happy that night. I drank too much. How miserable I was before I joined the team." When he heard the leaked news, Li Xiao probably understood what it meant. Seeing that the man couldn't explain clearly in the fleeting time, he took over the conversation. "Let me speak for him. This man followed the large army to raid 2 bases and went home. As soon as the base was upgraded and I still had a lot of money left, I thought about going to the city to spend money. When I got to the bar, I drank heavily, but in the end, I was drunk and was lured out of our assembly point by the people from the Yagami team." As he spoke, Liu Nian was so angry that he kicked him again. Then Team Yishan gave the news to Wuchang, and the next day Wuchang summoned a group of elite troops to raid your home. So that's it, Li Xiao breathed a sigh of relief. He felt that there was a spy in the team, and he didn't dare to say many things on the team channel. It was this guy who let the news out. Otherwise, he simply didn't believe that Wuchang could find his base so quickly, and it would be so difficult for him to find a base even with Chang Zan's help. How to deal with this person? Liu Nian asked. When the man heard that he was going to be dealt with, he was so frightened that he threw himself in front of Li Xiao and shouted, "Captain, I know I was wrong. I don't dare to drink any more. I really didn't mean to leak it. Don't kill me." Li Xiao sighed. Forget it, he didn't intentionally release the news, but this guy has soft bones and a weak temper. He is not suitable for the team. He should be fired directly. Okay. Liu Nian nodded, turned around and cursed, "You're getting an advantage." When the man heard that he was kicked out of the team, he immediately shouted happily, "Thank you, Captain." "Thank you, Captain." After a while, Li Xiao received Zuanayu's voice. At this time, Li Xiao saw that her public information had changed to the battle captain, and he knew that Wuchang was dead. Because the team leader had to step down a week in advance, and there was still a 24-hour handover time limit, Zuanayu becoming the team leader within a few hours could only mean that Wuchang was dead. As for the cause of death, Li Xiao could guess it with his toes, but it was no longer important to him. Although he knew that Zuanayu was probably not a good person, at the moment he needed Zuanayu to control Team Yishan and ensure Team Xiao's dominance in Zichen. "Captain Li, as you wish, Wuchang is dead. Now I can merge the Yishan team under your banner, woman." "Yes, after the team is merged, the combat team adapted from the original Yagami team will still be commanded by you, but I hope you are sincere. You must know that we are not only facing our own people, nothing I say now is valid. Let's see people's hearts over time, over time." Li Xiao's thoughts suddenly turned to a high-speed lane. System prompt, Team Yagami has been successfully merged into this team. The original team is disbanded immediately. The merger of Team Yashin has also aroused heated discussions in the Xiaoyao team channel. Just as Li Xiao and the other executives expected, basically everything was covered, including compressed resource allocation, team integration issues, and the original relationship among the team members. There were grievances and other troubles that cropped up. But this is a problem that will arise every time a merger is made. Fortunately, Qin Luming and Liu Nian are already very experienced in team management, so Li Xiao does not need to be too distracted. After the merger of the Night Gao team, the number of members of the Xiaoyao team instantly soared to more than 350 people. Now, except for several small teams with dozens of people in the south and the surrounding areas, they have no opponents in Zichen. Li Xiao pulled Liu Nian, Yun Dongliu, Yun Ying, Qin Luming and Zhuan Yu, who had just come in, into a group chat and began to arrange the next tasks. What surprised Li Xiao was that Zhuan Yu was older than them. She was actually 27 years old, but her ability to analyze the situation was very unique. "Although I just joined and have no say in the team's future action plan, given the current situation, I think the Xiaoyao team should rest and recuperate, develop steadily, and contact several teams in the south to complete the unified front of Zichen players." Zhuan Yu spoke neither humbly nor arrogantly, and had the demeanor of a strong woman. However, her appearance made Liu Nian feel a little pressured. He asked hurriedly, "If we don't fight now, are we waiting for them to grow fat?" "Excuse me, the Xiaoyao team's decisive killing in recent times has made the surrounding players panic. If we continue to fight, I am afraid that those small teams will band together or even merge. You know, our current number is less than 20% of the number of active players in Zichen." This. Chapter 63, Doing some private work. Miss Zuanayu is right, Yun Dongliu said at this time. As the old saying goes, everything must turn against itself. We did act too aggressively. Everyone's goal is to live, and people will naturally avoid things that they think are dangerous, and we are showing our danger to the outside world. Qin Luming and Yun Ying also agreed. Liu Nian failed to get help from his old teammates, so they had to compromise. "Okay, let's leave it to Lao Xiao to decide." The ball hit Li Xiao's head, but he was already confident. "Since suspending the attack is the opinion of the majority of our command team, let's implement it like this." Miss Zuanayu is eloquent and will not give in to women. In addition, she is a girl and has full affinity, so I think you will contact the southern teams. How about you? It is obligatory, although they have never met her. Li Xiao dares to conclude that this Zuanayu is definitely a first-class beauty. Otherwise Wuchang is unlikely to die at her hands. Then Yongchang will continue to be responsible for the collection of intelligence information in the southern region and Zicheng City. Okay, Yongchang started his precious words again. Yun Ying and Qin Luming are responsible for coordinating the resource allocation of various combat teams. Are there any questions? No problem. As for the fleeting time, Li Xiao thought for a while and said, I will give you a new task. From now on, you will organize about 1,000 troops to attack the Black Eagle City Defense Force in Zicheng every day. Remember, after the attack, you will run. Don't be obsessed with fighting. Try to do it 2 or 3 times a day. Harassment? What's the use? It's a waste of bullets if you can't kill them. If you kill them, you can't pick up the loot. Don't ask so many questions. Just do as I say. Okay, Liu Nian reluctantly agreed. Li Xiao tried to turn the tide several times, but he still believed in Li Xiao's idea. After 2 days of hard work, they finally had 2 days of rest. Li Xiao asked Du Zidong to make rao jiamo and venison soup, and everyone had a hearty meal. After taking stock of the gains in the past 2 days, except for the durability value, which is not left at all, the health value has accumulated to 500,000. In the 2 days before and after, his troops and team members killed nearly 4,000 people in the Yagami team, including many high-ranking veterans who had been brought to the Yagami team from the beginning. These health points are Li Xiao's precious wealth. As his health points accumulate more and more, the death rate of the troops decreases significantly. Now the total number of his troops has reached more than 90, and after many battles, the average number of Xiao team is only more than 50. Except for the more than 90 people who were refreshed in the second month, the soldiers in the first month basically all had over 10,000 health, and several officers like Di Yun, Zhao Fipeng and other officers had nearly 100,000 health. Machine gunners and snipers. The blood volume of such fire support professions is over 30,000. With this amount of blood in the vehicle, he wouldn't be afraid of a small team of 30 or 50 people attacking him. But what's frustrating is that he can't keep up with the amount of resources. Take yesterday, for example, when the team went to push the Eastern Conference and demolished dozens of bases, but he didn't get a single point in today's battle with Yagami. He had no part in cleaning the battlefield, mainly because it was difficult to compete with his teammates. You still have to get some private work for yourself. Looking at the 200,000 individual resources of the 9th level base, Li Xiao had a headache. He now wished that half of his troops were engineers. Speaking of which, it's better to have a resource point like the mid-level steel plant. There are civilian jobs inside, and you can send an engineer in to collect them automatically. It's a pity that the Banshan iron and steel plant is only a small factory. It would be great if we could find a resource point with a resource reserve similar to that of a chemical plant and which can produce all the resources with just one engineer stationed there. Thinking of this, Li Xiao opened the map. Although he had formed a team, he still couldn't see the areas where the team members had opened up their sites. He had to send someone to scan the map himself. Li Xiao first looked to the south. Last week, Yongchang sent a scout to ride an all-terrain vehicle for 50 kilometers south. He found that the terrain there was overlapping with mountains and the highway had turned into an ordinary asphalt road. And the road conditions are very bad. Li Xiao judged that the south should be an area lacking resources, but it was an advantageous terrain for deep defense. Therefore, exploring to the south is not in line with his purpose for the time being. As for the west, there is simply a mountain range stretching from north to south. Without flying vehicles, it is difficult to enter. The terrain in the east is gentle, but there must be many people, and there will be more Black Hawk troops. He has not considered it for the time being. Then only the north is left. Last time I went out for 20 kilometers to see it, the highway continued to the north. There were fewer people along the way, but there were occasional resource points. Why don't you try going to the south? Li Xiao made a decision. There is no base within a dozen kilometers to the west, and there are mountains beyond. Are their own people in the south and east, including dozens of kilometers to the north, so his base is still in a safe position for the time being. Send Zhao Fipeng's reconnaissance squad and Yan Yizhao's sniper team to follow, so that there can be no delay in both. Sitting in the back seat of the off-road vehicle, looking out the window at the hills one after another and the lush farmhouses at the foot of the mountains, I felt a little emotional. His parents were also ordinary people, living in the countryside, farming fields and raising geese. Unfortunately, a landslide caused by an earthquake forced them both to leave. At the age of 17, he finally finished college with relief money. However, what is the use of Blue Star's current university diploma? Later, he began to like games, and liked the feeling of commanding thousands of troops to win thousands of miles. He live-streamed games, commanded various ancient and modern wars, and enjoyed the pleasure of defeating opponents and winning with his players. After commanding a battle, he could get a lot of rewards from the leaders of those big guilds, so he played like this for 2 years. And now, he would never have thought that one day he could actually command thousands of people to fight, and there might be more in the future. This game-like alien world seemed to have given him a huge stage. Although he didn't know what would happen in the end and whether he could return to Blue Star, he would definitely not waste his life on this trip. The two Tiger off-road vehicles drove north for 70 kilometers until they arrived at a service area called Jianan Road and stopped to refuel. There was no Black Hawk Empire stationed in the service area here. Only some civilians provided refueling and catering services. The charges were very reasonable. The two cars added more than 10 points of fuel and asked Li Xiao for 3-star coins. Why don't we go eat something? I see they're selling grilled sausages and rice noodles, Zhao Fipeng suggested to Li Xiao. Li Xiao was a little hungry, and although he had a lot of field rations, it didn't matter if he could eat something good. So Li Xiao and his group of 8 entered the restaurant. Chapter 64, I was careless and didn't dodge. It's strange to say that there are few cars parked in this service area, but there are 20 to 30 people eating in the restaurant. Zhao Fipeng felt something was wrong at the first time. He quietly approached Li Xiao and whispered, "Boss, the situation is not good. The people in this restaurant are all men, and their eyes are cold and murderous. They have at least a few lives on their hands. Don't worry, tell the brothers not to be nervous and calm down." Li Xiao found that the atmosphere was very strange after entering the restaurant. Almost everyone was looking at them intentionally or unintentionally. He came to the bar and saw that the food inside was very good. "Come on. Everyone, choose whatever you want. I'll treat you, okay? Today we can have a big meal." Di Yunling and everyone came up to choose their own food. Li Xiao asked for a bowl of rice noodles, 2 braised eggs and a grilled sausage, and then took the plate to find a seat. At this time, he found that the empty seat at the gate had been occupied by 2 strong men at some point, so he had to find a place closest to the gate and sit down. Soon, Di Yun and his companions also took their own food and sat around Li Xiao, with the muzzles of their rifles facing outward. The rice noodles were very filling, the beef was large, the marinated eggs were tender and tasty, and the grilled sausages had a lot of lean meat. Li Xiao thought to himself that although it was very likely a black shop, the cooking skills were simply amazing. As he was eating, Li Xiao saw from the corner of his eye that someone had started to pull out a gun, and the barrel of a revolver of one of the fat men sitting at the gate even stretched out from under the table. After swallowing the last bite of grilled sausage, Li Xiao silently added 10,000 points of health limit to all 8 of his men, and then he signaled Zhao Fipeng with his eyes, and everyone's bodies stiffened immediately. The next second, Li Xiao suddenly stood up and was about to pull out the 05 type pistol on his thigh, but his brain was dizzy, and then he fell to the ground with a plop. The same situation as Li Xiao was also Di Yun and his 8 companions, who also collapsed in a second or two. Damn. I was careless. This was Li Xiao's last consciousness before he fell into coma. When Li Xiao woke up again, he didn't know how long it had been. It was extremely dark around him, with only a little light coming in. He could vaguely see that this was a man-made cave, and his hands and feet were handcuffed, and his legs and feet were firmly fixed with steel wire ropes, and he couldn't move at all. Di Yun and others had the same experience as him, tied up and lying on the ground. Di Yun. Zhao Fipeng. Yan Yi's how? Li Xiao shouted to several people in a deep voice, and after a while everyone woke up slowly. "Boss, what's going on?" Zhao Fipeng jumped and found that he was tied up like a mummy. "I don't know. We must have been drugged by them." "The food, drug," Leng He said depressedly. "No wonder I said those food smells so good. These guys don't follow martial ethics." Di Yun cursed angrily. "Let's fight one-on-one if you dare." Li Xiao signaled everyone to be quiet. "Don't worry, since these guys didn't kill us, at least they want to use us to do something. Let's find a way to save ourselves first." Li Xiao tried to call up the backpack interface, but his hands were tied behind his back and he couldn't operate the virtual screen at all. He tried to touch it with his mouth and tongue, but it didn't work. "It's bad." Li Xiao was a little panicked at this time. He opened the friend interface again, but sending a voice request also required operation. It's over. Li Xiao was secretly panicked. If he was killed while fainting, it would be fine. Now it's not easy to be tied up and wait for death, although their mouths were not sealed. Handcuffs, leg cuffs and little finger-thick steel wire ropes could not be bitten open with teeth, so it was extremely difficult to save themselves. Just as Li Xiao racked his brains to break free, the lights in the cave suddenly lit up, and then there was a sound of the iron door hitting outside, followed by a heavy footstep. After a while, 3 armed bandits came to the iron fence where they were imprisoned. The reason why Li Xiao called them bandits was that the 3 of them were dressed very similarly. The leader wore snow camouflage on the lower body and a leather jacket on the upper body. The 2 people behind were either jungle camouflage or black combat uniforms, which looked like a patchwork set. The 2 of them hung AK-112 on their chests with armed belts, and the postures were extremely arrogant. The biggest feature was that the 3 of them wore black cloth masks, revealing only their noses and eyes. If this is not a typical image of a bandit, what is it? He walked up to them in a leather jacket, looked around, and said, "Who among you are the commander?" "It's me." Li Xiao staggered to his feet first. "Okay. Take him away." As he said that, the 2 people behind him came forward to open the iron fence and pulled Li Xiao out. Boss, don't go." Seeing this, Di Yun and Zhao Fipeng shouted hurriedly, but Li Xiao signaled them to stay calm with his eyes. This was indeed a man-made cave. After passing through a corridor of more than 10 meters, he came out of the cave. When the sun shone, it looked like a village outside, with dozens of wooden houses hidden under the tall trees. It was noon, and there was little smoke from cooking in the village, but a closer look showed that almost all the people inside and outside the houses were carrying guns, and 20 or 30 pickup trucks parked together were painted in various colors. But this could not hide the aging and dilapidation of the vehicles, but the heavy machine guns and rocket launchers on them made Li Xiao dare not underestimate them at all. Is this the KB organization? Li Xiao was even more confused when he saw these familiar yet unfamiliar equipment. Then Li Xiao's leg cuffs were opened, and the wire rope on his legs was cut open by hydraulic pliers. He was pushed into the largest wooden house in the village. This was a large house with a span of 30 meters. As soon as he entered the door, Li Xiao was almost vomited by the strong smell of sweat and smoke. Fortunately, he still held back. The light in the house was a little dim. There was a row of sofas on both sides of the long house, some leather and some fabric, and a long string of coffee tables in front of the sofas. Leftover bones, various fruits, and countless wine bottles were all placed on them, and of course there were more cigar butts on the ground. There were more than a dozen people in the house. Almost all of them were gangsters, and each one was more burly than the other. In front of him, on a large chair carved from an old tree root, a bald man was hugging a young woman in revealing clothes and drinking. When he saw Li Xiao coming in, he put out the cigar butt in his hand and the fruit plate in front of him. "Look who's coming, go!" The man in the leather jacket pushed Li Xiao to the front and shouted, "Kneel down!" Li Xiao didn't care and stared at the bald man. The man was shirtless, with all kinds of tattoos from his stomach to his shoulders and back. There were both Chinese characters and English, Chinese dragons and tigers and Western pterosaurs and black wolves. There were some strange punctures on his shoulders and chest, like the healed bullet holes. Chapter 65, Unexpectedly, it was a deal. Seeing that Li Xiao did not kneel down, the leather jacket directly kicked Li Xiao's knees, and pressed his powerful arms on Li Xiao's shoulders. Li Xiao couldn't hold himself up and fell to the ground with his knees. At this time, the bald man said, "Little alien, welcome to the Dark Soul Mercenary Group. You are the first alien to see me." It seems that the natives like to call the time travelers strangers, but when Li Xiao heard the word mercenary group, he probably knew who these people were. The forces in Han Haixing are complicated, and each place has its own distinctive armed forces. This Dark Soul Mercenary Group seems to be the local leader here, the Dark Soul Mercenary Group. I've never heard of it. I don't know where it is from. A low-class group, Li Xiao deliberately prodded. He now holds a life pool of more than 400,000 yuan, and he probably won't die if he doesn't blast him dozens of times with rockets, so the more provocative he is, the better his chances of escaping. "Boy, I think you're tired of living." The leather jacket behind him angrily pulled out a pistol and put it against the back of his head. "Horse viper." The bald man waved his hand and signaled the leather jacket to move away. He smiled nonchalantly and said, "According to the usual style of our mercenary group, all strangers will be executed on the spot, but you are an exception." "Do you know why?" Li Xiao chuckled and said sarcastically, "You can't be the one who suddenly fell to the ground when you saw my majestic and heroic image, and wanted to keep me and kneel down to recognize me as your father. I kill you. Boss. Kill him, take him out and castrate him. Look at how dare he show off his power of words, should it be cutting out the tongue? As soon as Li Xiao said this, not only the man in the leather jacket named Ma Wei couldn't help it, but also the younger brother sitting around watching the scene couldn't help it. The bald man didn't know whether it was because he had a good temper or because he was wealthy, but he was not angry at Li Xiao's provocations one after another. Instead, he came to him with a glass of wine. Young man, you must speak with integrity, otherwise you will die soon. He handed the wine glass to Li Xiao. Want to have a taste? Nanjmanner wine imported from the Principality of Fax. The bald man was full of flesh and his smiling face made Li Xiao feel guilty. He said coldly, okay, just say it if you have anything to say. I don't have time to chat with you, okay? I like people who are straightforward and upright. Let's put it this way. We originally wanted to kill you and exchange bounties with the Empire, but I found that the two off-road vehicles you drove are very special. After Li Xiao heard what he said, the Black Eagle Empire started to offer rewards for catching strangers. However, the bald man's words gave Li Xiao another idea. The average durability of vehicles is only 2,000, pickup trucks are only 5,000, military off-road vehicles are only 10,000, armored personnel carriers are 30,000, infantry fighting vehicles are 100,000, and main battle tanks are 400,000. But these two military off-road vehicles of yours are both durable. With a durability of more than 300,000, how do you do it? Want to know? Li Xiao looked at the bald man's expectant eyes and said calmly, this is a special ability that only I can achieve. You mean you don't want to tell me? The bald man's eyes were stern. Li Xiao shrugged with an indifferent expression, it's not that I won't tell you, but it's that only I can achieve it. Okay, can you please help me upgrade my vehicle? We are facing some troubles recently, and those pickup trucks are the key to our victory. Li Xiao secretly thought that it was indeed the case. These guys were quite good at thinking about it. Would you like to upgrade? It's not impossible, but I'm hungry now, and my brothers are also hungry. This is easy. The bald man seemed to agree when he heard Li Xiao. He turned around and said to Ma Wei, go and untie this brother's men, and then entertain them well. However, in the recent period, you still have to grieve them. Stay in the cave and don't go anywhere. Li Xiao's handcuffs were quickly opened, and a plate of sliced roast lamb and curry fried rice was brought to him by a beautiful woman in a bikini. Apart from anything else, the food of this mercenary group is really good. The presentation of roasted lamb and curry fried rice is very appetizing. There won't be any drugs this time, right? Li Xiao didn't care about the fat bald man and others, and just started eating on his own. After putting the last spoonful of rice and the last piece of lamb chop into his mouth, and taking another sip of ice-cold soda, Li Xiao sat on the sofa quite contentedly. Well, my friend, can you get to work? Of course. But let's talk about the price first. The price? This sentence confused the bald man. I think you may have misunderstood me a little. Now you have been imprisoned by me. If you don't help me, you and your subordinates will eat it at any time. Peanuts from me. Li Xiao sighed and said lazily, first of all, I can call people over to bulldoze your mercenary group at any time now, and I can make you burp before the sun goes down at the latest. You think you can get rid of me by saying harsh words? I'm not bragging. I'll stand here and let you shoot me with a gun. If you frown, I lose. Li Xiao mocked. Oh. I'm giving you face, right? Ma Wei suddenly became furious. He had never been the only one who is arrogant, but he had never seen anyone so courageous. As he spoke, he came over with the AK-112, cocked the gun and pointed it at Li Xiao. Captain, I opened fire. He asked for it. Ma Wei was about to pull the trigger as he spoke, but the bald man said at this time, the alien is tenacious in life. This doesn't sound like a lie. Tell me what the conditions are. Li Xiao blocked Ma Wei's gun and slumped on the sofa. Alice, that depends on how you cooperate. If it's a one-time deal, it's 200,000 star coins. If it's a long-term cooperation, the price can be negotiated, 200,000. Go grab it. Ma Wei's jaw was dislocated in shock. The bald man also looked embarrassed. 200,000. I'm afraid even a large mercenary group with more than 10,000 people in Yongchang state can't come up with it. Do you think it's possible for us with 1,000 people? Oh. Li Xiao secretly complained, isn't it said that the KB organization and the mercenary group are all very rich, and they can't even come up with 200,000? 200,000 star coins can let us buy a tank. With that money, do I need you to upgrade the pickup truck? 200,000 for a tank? Ma Wei's statement immediately aroused Li Xiao's interest. Do you have a channel to buy tanks, Ma Wei? You talk too much. The bald man realized that something was wrong and hurriedly shouted in a deep voice. Seeing this, Ma Wei quickly shut up and ran out in shame. Haha, Ma Wei, you are just kidding. How can we possibly get key equipment such as tanks? Do you think I believe it? Li Xiao cursed inwardly. I won't bargain with you. 50,000 star coins, 20 modified armed pickup trucks, with a durability of no less than 30,000, how about it? Chapter 66. Is this possible? 50,000, Li Xiao thought for a while, and it seemed that this Dark Soul mercenary group was not a wealthy owner, so he could just accept it as soon as he saw fit. Okay. It's a deal, but you have to let my troops go back first. I'll stay here to help you upgrade, okay? The bald man came over and looked very happy. He said, since we have a cooperative relationship, let me formally introduce myself. I am the leader of the Dark Soul mercenary group, Wang Si, brother Wang. Are you sure you didn't leave out the word green behind you, Wang Si? What does this mean? Nothing, just asking. Di Yun and the other 8 people were quickly released, and Li Xiao asked them to drive 2 Tiger H9s back the same way, leaving only Zhao Fipeng to follow him temporarily. Wang Si called a group of mercenaries to follow Li Xiao. In name they were helping, but in reality they were monitoring, but he didn't care. It was a trivial matter to him anyway. Let me do the math. 20 vehicles would have a durability value of 600,000, which is equivalent to 300 ordinary civilian off-road vehicles. Li Xiao started thinking at this time, and within a few minutes he came up with a great idea. Hey, time is passing? You immediately make an announcement on the team channel and say that it will start immediately. Everyone will go out and destroy a civilian off-road vehicle for me immediately. Anyone who completes the task will be rewarded with 50 stars coins, FCK. 50 star coins, you are a nouveau riche. Aren't civilian off-road vehicles everywhere? How about making money while lying there? Just wait. I'll blow up 20 or 30 of them for you right away. Get out. One person can only blow up one car. And he can't hurt civilians, and he only has 50 star coins. Okay, I'll do it right away, but what kind of frivolous operations are you doing? What's the use of it? Li Xiao didn't bother to explain and said directly, anyway, it's a great thing for the team. In fact, it is quite simple to get the durability value. Now that the large-scale war between the Black Eagle Empire and Cheyenne Yu has ended, civilians have returned to their daily work, and the traffic volume is much greater than when they first arrived. But civilians cannot kill indiscriminately. This will not only attract attacks from Cheyenne Yu and the Black Eagle Empire, but will also have a negative impact on the future control of Zichen. After arranging the durability issues, Li Xiao began to check these pickup trucks. In terms of high quality, low price, and durability, pickup trucks are truly the main configuration of Blue Star in the Middle East. But I didn't expect that thing would still be so popular when I came to Hanxing. The efficiency of fleeting time is very high, but it is also the attraction of star coins. Now that resource production has increased, the demand for star coins has increased, and the exchange ratio of star coins and resources has reached 10 to 15 points. 50 star coins are worth 700 to 800 points of resources, and the team members will definitely take it for nothing. So in just a few dozen minutes, the durability of his life pool skyrocketed, directly breaking through 600,000 and reaching 700,000. In the team channel, the team members all expressed that they could play more channels, otherwise the money would not be secure. Li Xiao didn't dare to let them fight again, so he hurriedly asked Liu Nian to stop. If the fight continued like this, something would happen. With the durability value, Li Xiao felt at ease. So he walked to a pickup truck and started to pretend to be 13. A group of mercenaries from behind quickly came over, wanting to pry out what was going on. But Li Xiao touched the hood, but there was no response in his field of vision. Yet, Li Xiao was stunned for a moment, and then suddenly remembered that the off-road vehicles and other things he had seized before could only display information after the owner was killed, and the Dark Soul mercenary group was not dead, so he did not have the authority. This is not easy to handle. Looking at the group of guys behind who were looking at him, Li Xiao coughed and said, "Go and call your group leader. Just say there is an unexpected situation." It could be seen that the mercenary group really needed these pickup trucks, so the 2 mercenaries quickly turned around and ran out. After a while, Wang Si came over seriously and asked, "Why, what else do you have to do?" "Sorry, that's the situation. As for increasing the durability, It actually has certain restrictions. One of them is that the vehicle must be ownerless or belong to a teammate. What do you mean? How does upgrading a pickup truck have anything to do with who owns the truck? You'd better not play any tricks. No, Lee Zio quickly explained. Actually, this is quite easy to handle. As long as your mercenary group merges into my team, we may be able to succeed. You mean you helped me upgrade 20 cars, and you actually want to join my entire mercenary group? Wang Xi obviously didn't believe Li Zio's words, and held a large gun in his right hand on the holster on his waist-caliber revolver that seemed ready to be drawn at any moment. Of course not, Li Zio said awkwardly. Actually, as long as you merge in, when I complete the upgrade, you can immediately withdraw with the original team. This is impossible. If we reluctantly form an alliance, we can still consider it an alliance. Li Zio pondered for a moment. He only knew about merging, but he had never tried forming an alliance. Ma Viper, go get a pen and paper. Wang Xi seemed to be vigorous and resolute in his work, and he was somewhat domineering as a group leader. Soon Ma Wei got paper and pen and handed them to Li Zio. You draw up an alliance agreement, sign it with both parties, and seal it with bloody fingerprints. It's considered an alliance, is this? Okay. Li Zio took the paper and pen dubiously, then hastily wrote a simple alliance agreement that could not be simpler, and signed his name and fingerprint. And then something magical happened. When Wang Xi pressed his bloody thumb, Li Zio actually received a message prompting him to form an alliance with the Dark Soul mercenaries. Fuck. This is also possible. Li Zio secretly thought that the system was too open and free, and it was too exciting to play like this. Sure enough, this time when Li Zio approached the pickup truck again, all the information popped up. Most of these pickup trucks in Dark Soul looked old and dilapidated, but the durability was still there, with a durability limit of 3, 4,000 or 5,000. It seemed that it should be related to wear and tear. This should be the data of the structure value, that is, the durability is the blood volume, and the structure value affects the upper limit. Behind the durability value of the pickup truck, Li Zio successfully found the plus sign, and then completed the durability upgrade. A few minutes later, Li Zio clapped his hands. Captain Wang, check it out, it's done. Is it done? Wang Xi walked over and took a few glances in disbelief, and immediately shouted happily, brothers. This time we will win. Dozens of players present cheered and even fired into the sky to celebrate. Li Zio also found that the local natives seemed to be able to see the durability of their vehicles just like their players, and he could even see the enemy's durability. Otherwise they wouldn't have noticed the situation of his two Tiger off-road vehicles, and he would have turned in trash long ago. And Li Zio had another guess. Since he could form an alliance with the Dark Soul mercenaries, it was possible that he could also form an alliance with the Xianai militia organization that Chang Zan was in. And since they could form an alliance, maybe they could also help him collect health points. Chapter 67, Surprise. Li Zio was still thinking about it when Wang Xi came over at this time. Li Zio, I have decided that this alliance can continue forever. I will definitely need your help in the future. This is the 50,000 star coins promised to you. Wang Xi threw a card over, and Li Zio caught it and saw that there were indeed 50,000 star coins in it. He couldn't help but feel happy. This is called making money. Captain Wang is indeed generous, so I will withdraw first. After Li Zio said hello to Zhao Feipeng, he hurriedly prepared to leave, but before he could take a step, Wang Xi suddenly said again, wait, why? Is Commander Wang going to regret it? Of course not. Wang Xi waved his hand and said, to show my sincerity and cooperation, I plan to give you a gift. Oh, Li Zio didn't expect such a good thing, but this is at best what good things can the Dark Soul mercenary group in the bandits' den come up with. Wang Xi took something like a USB flash drive from Ma Wei's hand and threw it to Li Zio. This thing is of no use to me, and it's not worth selling. So I'll just give it to you. I hope you can use it. Hearing what Wang Xi said, Li Zio didn't expect much, but when he saw the information that popped up from the USB flash drive, he was dumbfounded. Holy shit. M20's 66mm 4-barreled rocket launcher design drawing. Li Zio was shocked on the spot. What all players want to have most now is a rocket launcher and multiple rockets, because this is the most lethal weapon currently available to players. It is so powerful to use it to attack fortresses that the trading center cannot sell it at all. But now, in his hand, there is a design drawing of a 4-barreled rocket launcher, and it can be manufactured by the 8th level base military factory. Invincible. With this blueprint, Li Xiao would not be swayed even if he was given 200,000 star coins. Think of a car worth hundreds of thousands of stars, with 4 tough men each carrying a rocket launcher that can fire 4 rockets continuously towards them. The scene of the enemy charging is simply BT. Thank you so much. This thing is a real help in times of need for me. You're welcome, as long as you like it. Li Xiao and Zhao Fipeng returned to the highway from a dirt road under the guidance of the mercenary guide. Yan Yizhao's off-road vehicle had been waiting for a long time. Let's go, run away quickly. As the car drove south, Li Xiao played with a USB flash drive in the car. He did not expect that this trip would turn from a dangerous situation to a huge fortune. He transferred 15,000 star coins to Leonian to pay the rewards for the team members to destroy civilian vehicles, and he used the remaining 35,000 star coins directly to purchase the resources needed for the 9th level base. When he arrived at the base, Li Xiao went straight to the military factory, then opened his backpack and used the USB flash drive subsequently. Detailed data of the M20's 4-barreled rocket launcher appeared on the equipment manufacturing interface of the military factory. This rocket launcher uses tail-stabilized rocket armor-piercing projectiles with an effective range of 2,000 meters. It has a lethality of 8,000 points for light armor and 6,000 points for heavy armor. The manufacturing cost of the launch tube is 500 steel, 200 rare minerals, and the manufacturing time is 12 hours. The rocket costs 100 steel, 50 rare minerals, 5 star coins, and takes 1 hour to make. For Li Xiao, this is really a great weapon with high quality and low price. In fact, he has been ready to capture Zichen for a long time. Players have already calculated that the total resources refreshed in Zichen in a single day are nearly 500,000, which is a big fortune. Now the players can't send engineers in at all. Only Yongchang and Leonian can send engineers inside through the sewers to collect Zichen Bank star coins and some rare mineral resources, but the garrison in Zichen was, after all, a combined regiment, with a strength of just over 1,000 people, but they were equipped with nearly 60 main battle tanks, dozens of armored combat vehicles, armored personnel carriers, and command vehicles. There are also battlefield rescue and maintenance vehicles, which can repair vehicles during wartime and restore them to durability. This information was collected by Yongchang. In 2 weeks it was originally possible to rely on heavy machine guns to attack armored vehicles. But heavy machine guns have zero damage to tanks unless you can hit its periscope, paralyze its infrared or low-light imaging equipment, and make it blind. But things are different now. The lethality of the 4-barreled rocket launcher can already help him deal with lightly armored targets easily. It's just that the damage of rocket launchers to heavy armor is really small. Wang Si said before that a main battle tank has a durability of at least 300,000 yuan, which means that it takes 50 rounds of rockets to destroy a tank. Is Blue Star's main battle tank so perverted? After calculating the damage effect, he couldn't help but complain. Li Xiao recalled that the main battle tanks of Blue Star Mold and Furry Bear seemed unable to withstand a few RPG rounds. Well, the task is still very difficult. Thinking of this problem, Li Xiao sent a message to Yuniying, asking her to pay attention to the rocket launchers and rocket grenades on the market. Although it was basically impossible to buy them, she couldn't give up. Li Xiao first arranged for the production of 4-barreled rocket launchers, then rocket bombs, and Tiger off-road vehicles without interruption. Li Xiao expected that the upgrade of the 9th level base would take about a week. He now expects that the 9th level base could bring him some new equipment. After doing these things, Li Xiao was not idle. He drove to the forest area in the north of Zichen to look for the Xianai militia organization. I met Chang Zhan again. This time, Chang Zhan's life was much more comfortable. The food and ammunition supplies provided by Li Xiao not only made his life of more than 100 people enjoyable, but also added dozens of members. When Li Xiao proposed to sign an alliance agreement, Chang Zhan agreed immediately. Only then did he discover that Chang Zhan's unit was called the 9th Company of the Yongchang Prefecture Militia Independent Regiment of the Xianai Army. Although not a frontline combat unit of the Xianai Republic, the 9th Company of Chang Zhan is extremely powerful. If the equipment is good enough, it is estimated that it can fight 2 infantry companies of the Black Hawk Empire alone. After forming alliances with the Dark Soul Mercenary Group and the 9th Company of Chang Zhan, Li Xiao's guess was confirmed on the 2nd and 3rd days. The Dark Soul Mercenary Group used upgraded pickup trucks to compete with the other mercenary forces for control of a drilling platform and wiped out the opponent at a small cost. This battle brought Li Xiao nearly 200,000 durability and more than 100,000 health points, which made he laugh even in his dreams. Wang Si, who tasted the sweetness, immediately couldn't help but upgrade the vehicle, and soon made an appointment with Li Xiao for the next upgrade transaction. Of course, Li Xiao would not respond to every request. He prepared to tease Wang Si's appetite in various ways, and then take the opportunity to increase the prices for the team, because the Xiaoyao team has become famous, and it controls 70% of the resource areas around Zicheng. Many individual players and small teams who can't make it have joined in just 3 or 4 days. The number of team members increased dramatically to 600. At this time, at the suggestion of Yun Dongliu, the Xiaoyao team began to besiege several medium-sized teams in the south from the east and west. Chapter 68 The North-South War. Zuanao's 6 to 10 combat teams immediately outflank the eastern rear of Aurora team. The speed must be fast. Qin Luming, if your troops continue to press forward, don't give Qin Chuan team a chance to break through. Dongliu. Send all the heavy machine guns up, push back the enemies in the 2 opposite buildings, and create an opportunity for the Tiger convoy to break through. In the early morning of the first day of the last week of the second month of the Backfire World, the battle to encircle and suppress the battle groups in the southern part of Zicheng began. Li Xiao mobilized a quarter of the troops of each player in the entire team, a total of 20 combat teams, with 12,000 troops divided into 3 groups, and suddenly surrounded the Yuping Reservoir where the Qin Chuan team's base camp was located. The Qin Chuan team is the largest team in the south, with nearly 200 people and a total strength of more than 16,000 people. They surround the Yuping Reservoir, which is mainly engaged in fishing. In the early stage, they quickly accumulated a lot of resources by selling fish. The average level in the team reached level 5, and there were more than 50 level 6 bases. After Yang Dongliu's investigation, it was found that nearly 1/3 of the Qin Chuan team's base was in the Yuping Reservoir, so the Xiaoyao team decided to suddenly attack the Yuping Reservoir. Use the method of encirclement and reinforcements to block Qin Chuan's peripheral reinforcements and its allies. Li Xiao was sitting in Yushan, north of Yuping Reservoir, observing the battlefield conditions on the 3 banks of the reservoir below. At this time, within dozens of square kilometers around Yuping, there were gunshots everywhere, and gunpowder smoke filled the reservoir water. The 2 hours of fighting before this sudden attack were easy. The main force of 6,000 troops quickly completed the siege of Yushan Reservoir and annihilated nearly 30 bases. However, Xing Ming, the captain of the Qinshan team, was a difficult opponent. He decisively gave up protecting the dozen bases that had been taken over by the Xiaoyao team, and left the north bank of the reservoir to Li Xiao, and then defended the only way to the east and west banks. More than 3,000 people just relied on light and heavy machine guns and a large number of timed C4 explosives to block the fleet of 6,000 troops for more than 3 hours. During such a long period of time, the Aurora team, a medium-sized team ally of the Qin Chuan team with more than 100 people, has been deployed in full force, with more than 7,000 people rushing from the southeast. Fortunately, Li Xiao deployed Zhuan Yu in advance to blow up a bridge on the national highway for their reinforcements, causing the Aurora team to fail to arrive in time. However, the Aurora team was also unlucky. They abandoned the car and took a detour to swim across the river. Zhuan Yu tried his best to stop the attack on the edge of the river that was more than 10 kilometers long on the other side. Yan Dongliu and Qin Luming blocked several small teams and the Qin Chuan team's large force of nearly 10,000 people. Mad. If I had known we should have sent half of our troops here, this way we wouldn't have been so anxious. Fleeting time looked at the defense line on the Qin Chuan side of the west bank. The firepower was no different from the raindrops falling in a heavy downpour. From the shore to the mountainside on one side, there were dense firepower points. Li Xiao didn't take it seriously. He looked at the map of Yuping Reservoir and said, Yuping Reservoir is surrounded by mountains on 3 sides. Only the south has a spacious plain exit. There are dense bases there, making it even more difficult to attack. Fortunately, I sent 16 Tiger off-road vehicles to support Yan Dongliu, otherwise we would definitely be defeated today. Li Unia nodded. Speaking of which, how much HP does your off-road vehicle have? You just relied on the defense zone streets of Ning'an town to block them for so long. Li Xiao curled his lips and said nothing. In the past few days, relying on the health durability and contributed by the team and the 2 allied troops, he has made the durability of 16 Tiger off-road vehicles reach an average of more than 200,000. The machine gunners and riflemen have an average health value of more than 100,000. Of course, this amount of blood alone cannot withstand the attack of tens of thousands of people. Before the war started, he set up dense light and heavy machine gun positions on the streets of Ning'an town, which is the only way to the Yuping Reservoir. It stretched for a long time at the intersection. Hundreds of C4 explosives were planted over a kilometer range. Yundongliu and Qin Luming's troops were all deployed in houses along the streets of the town, blocking the attacking enemies step by step and by Di Yun. The 1st and 2nd platoon off-road convoy led by Yang Zhao continued to fire just behind the machine gun position. Although a large number of bullets hit their vehicles, the health and durability points continuously replenished on the 3 battlefields were also added to his troops by Li Xiao at the same time. In fact, Li Xiao has already discovered from Wang Xi that he can also add health and durability to other players' troops and vehicles, but doing so is tantamount to directly exposing his secret. Currently, with his ability, he does not have the courage to reveal it. As for the local natives, the strangers in their eyes may always have all kinds of weird abilities. Apart from being surprised, they will not question them like the players. But even so, Li Xiao was very anxious. The amount of blood he replenished could no longer keep up with the consumption of the 1st and 2nd rows. He had to find a feasible breakthrough method as soon as possible. Before the war started, he had sought help from the Dark Soul mercenary group in Changzhou, but the militia company remained neutral among the strangers, and Changzhou refused to help him infiltrate from the south. Wang Xi also opened his mouth and asked for 100,000 star coins, wanting to spit out the money Li Xiao earned from him. How about calling the reserve troops for reinforcements? Anyway, the team members still have half of their strength, so maintaining daily defense is not a big problem. Although the Xiaoyao team only dispatched a quarter of its troops, it actually organized the same quarter of reserve troops to prevent the Qinchuan team from taking a detour to attack their hometown in the east or west. After all, the north is full of his people now, and he can hit Xiaoyao team members from anywhere. No, we must ensure the safety of our own base. Otherwise the gain outweighs the loss. Li Xiao looked at the battle situation in Ning'an town that Yundongliu had just sent back. At present, there are only about 6,000 reinforcements in the southwest. And thanks to the Tiger off-road vehicle troops, Yundongliu and his team still have about 2,000 people left. As for the Zuanai direction, this woman divided the 3,000 troops into 3 waves, and continuously blocked them in stages. Now the Aurora team has reached the 2nd line of defense. How to break it? How to break it? Li Xiao tried hard to recall the game battle scenes he had commanded in the past. In front of him, the backpack panel was open, and there were 6 M20s 4-barreled rocket launchers and more than 40 armor-piercing rockets. This is a trump card he can still use. It can definitely break the dense machine gun positions at the intersection of the east and west banks immediately, but after using it, his plan to attack Xichen will be delayed for several days, which is not good for the development of the Xiaoyao team because in the past few days, there have been many news reports on the national channel about the capture of local county towns. Only then did people know that after occupying local cities, they could actually build a technological military factory in the city to produce the first armored vehicle for players, armored personnel carriers. This is no joke. Once more and more large teams occupy the city, the number of armored personnel carriers will increase, which will have a great impact on the future external expansion of the Xiaoyao team. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69 Recovering the South. Li Xiao was hesitating whether to send the reserve troops to forcefully break through the defense line of the Qinchuan troops. At this time, Li came forward and shouted, "Boss! The captain of the 9th Militia Company, Changzhou, wants to see you." "Changzhou? Why are you looking for me at this time?" Li Xiao took the satellite phone in confusion. Changzhou smiled and said, "Captain Li, my observer said that your attack is not going well. Why, are you calling me to laugh at me?" Li Xiao looked depressed. He didn't help but watch the show. He was really a pitfall for his ally. How can you think of me like this? Although I can't help you fight, it's still possible to borrow weapons between allies. Borrow weapons? What weapons do you have? Li Xiao was a little curious. Nothing, just 8.75mm mortars and 50 shells. What? Damn. That's awesome. Hurry up, if we win this time, I'll give you a 300,000 yuan off-road vehicle. Great. That's what you said. The mortars should be almost at your place by now. I'm waiting for your victory." Li Xiao hung up the phone and kicked Li Unian's butt excitedly. "Brother, we've got it. Oh my god, you're crazy. I don't have any meat on my butt." Li Unian felt pain, rubbed his butt, and asked, "What's going on?" "You'll know soon." More than 10 minutes later, Changzhan's 2 mortar squads were ordered to report. When Li Unian saw the 8 mortars, his expression was almost the same as Li Xiao's, and he almost drooled on the spot. "What the hell? 8 mortars, rounds of artillery shells. I don't think those 50 dozens of heavy machine guns can do anything." Li Xiao quickly said to the 2 mortar squad leaders politely, "2 squad leaders, just aim your guns at the machine gun positions on the road and fire hard, no problem. Captain Li, we will definitely complete the mission." At this time, Li Xiao also asked Li Unian to notify the attacking force on the east side to withdraw half of them, leaving 1,000 people to continue the feint attack, so that the attacking force on the west side can reach 4,000 people later. Professionals are professionals. Du Zidan, who has mortar operation experience under Li Xiao, can fire accurately, but there is still a slight gap in rapid deployment and rapid calculation of various parameters. Half an hour later, the troops on the east side gathered in place, and Li Unian's 2 combat teams for assault had also completed the offensive preparations. At this time, Li Xiao signaled the mortar squad to open fire. The mortar position set up in the open area on the mountainside can clearly see the dense machine gun fortress on the sparse forest road. 8 guns are lined up in a row. As the aimer locks the angle, the 8 loaders move in unison, holding the bullets with both hands and releasing them at the same time. The sound of the shells rubbing against the barrels and falling rapidly can be clearly seen, and then there are muffled sounds of boom 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 boom, and green smoke bursts out of the mouths of the 8 mortars, and the mortar shells fly out instantly. Swish, swish, swish. Even though they are 600 or 700 meters apart, Li Xiao can vaguely hear the whistling sound of the shells breaking through the air, and then he sees the machine gun positions of the Qinchuan troops blooming. Groups of fireballs soared into the air, and the fierce artillery fire blew away the machine gunners in the sandbags and gravel piles, and blasted down the roadblocks carefully built by the Qinchuan team. 3, 2, 1, fire. Round after round of volleys caught the Qinchuan troops off guard, directly tearing a hole in the tight defense line. When the last round of shells whizzed in, Li Unian issued the order for a general attack in the team channel. A large number of troops rushed into the blasted gap like a flood, rushing towards the Qinchuan troops. The road and the forest were full of flying bullets. The dense explosion of grenades, the layers of smoke bombs, and the dense gunfire like New Year's fireworks made it impossible to distinguish the fire lines of the 2 sides. In this close-range battlefield, the snipers on both sides were full of targets and could not finish shooting, but there was little time left for the defeated side to snipe and kill. The soldiers who came one after another left more than 1,000 enemies completely on this battlefield. Don't rush to clean up the battlefield. This little bit of supplies is nothing. Go and demolish the base. Li Unian called on the players who were commanding the troops to pick up equipment and ammunition to continue rushing into the base camp of the Qinchuan team. The west bank defense line was broken, which directly affected the defenders on the east bank. The players didn't care about defense and ordered the troops to retreat and return to the base. What is a crushing defeat? This is a vivid example. The 3-hour defense line can be collapsed in 1 minute. Even if the commanders of the Qinchuan team roared hysterically in the group, they couldn't stop the tide of fleeing. In just 1 hour, Li Unian's main force of nearly 5,000 people pushed to the bottom and demolished dozens of bases of the Qinchuan team. The more than 20-kilometer-long reservoir line was all passed like a bulldozer. Li Xiao stood on the mountain and looked at the smoke and explosions in the distance. He couldn't help but laugh at himself that these players were just like locusts passing through. That's right. If you can demolish a level 6 base now, you can get nearly 100,000 resources. Who wouldn't run desperately? He seriously suspected that these guys probably had hundreds of C4 explosives in their backpacks, just waiting to destroy the house. But then again, the captain of Qinchuan, Xingming, was still quite popular. In the end, more than a dozen team members followed him to carry out the final defense, and less than 1,000 troops were trapped at the entrance to the southern plain of the reservoir. Seeing this situation, Li Xiao personally came to the front line to try to add Xingming as a friend, but unfortunately this strong man directly refused. He asked Li Unian to order the troops to shout the slogan of surrendering their guns and not being killed, but no one came out of the defense line. Li Xiao knew that Xingming was still fantasizing about the reinforcements from the southeast and southwest, But when his defense line was broken an hour ago, the offensive of the two reinforcements gradually weakened. Even Captain Aurora had contacted him. Xingming, don't you know that his reinforcements have slipped away? Li Unian looked at the swaying figures in the opposite valley. Of course not, it's just Xingming's personality. I'm afraid he is a person who would rather die than live in disgrace. I really admire these fearless and straightforward people. Li Unian shook his head. I don't think I can do this, haha. Otherwise how can you and I not become heroes? To become a hero, you must have a steely will and a noble mind. Li Xiao thought that it would be difficult for him to make such a decision. Although sometimes his lofty words were loud and clear, when it came to the critical moment, the courage he needed to show was probably beyond your imagination. In the end, Xingming failed to wait for reinforcements. After 2 hours of stalemate, Li Unian and the retreating Zhuan Yu formed a pincer attack from both sides, which directly caused the enemy's defense line to collapse. Xingming finally detonated thousands of C4 explosives in his own headquarters, and half of the attack team of the Xiaoyao team died with him from morning to evening. In one day, the Xiaoyao team recovered the south and unified all the resource areas under the jurisdiction of Zicheng. At the same time, the Xiaoyao team successively reorganized the remnants of the Qinchuan team, the Aurora team and more than 10 small teams, and the total number of members exceeded the 1,000 mark. Chapter 70, Well-Proportioned. In Zicheng, there were 5 banquet tables in the luxurious hall of Ziyang Hotel, and each table was filled with sumptuous dishes. Several senior leaders from the newly reorganized Xiaoyao team and captains of dozens of combat teams gathered here. Li Xiao, who was at the head of the table, raised the champagne in his hand and said what he had been brewing for a long time. Dear brothers and sisters of Team Xiaoyao, today is the day that Team Xiaoyao achieved its first major victory since its establishment. We successfully controlled all the main resource areas in Zicheng and became the only leading team in Zicheng. After Li Xiao finished speaking, everyone burst into warm applause. Before this, whether it was the team we had cooperated with from the beginning, the team that made a wise decision to join Xiaoyao team for joint development, or the brothers and sisters from all over the country who have high ambitions. No matter what festivals we had before, or the team between each other, I hope everyone will put all the conflicts that arise from different camps behind us. As he spoke, he looked at Zhuan Yu, Qin Luming and the various team captains who joined yesterday, because although we have been brought into this war-torn world by the system's powerful capabilities, our common goal is to survive. How to survive? That is to unite. Only by uniting without reservation can we defeat the powerful forces from the outside and the hostility from the same kind. The word alive obviously penetrated everyone's heart. At this moment, many people's originally lonely hearts seemed to find a little warm light here. Then for us, for Team Xiaoyao, and for staying alive, cheers, cheers. Li Xiao was in a trance as he looked at the crowd of people drinking and drinking. Survival means struggle, and resistance means death. Li Xiao doesn't know what the future will be for his teammates here tonight, but at least he has worked hard at this moment. After drinking for 3 rounds, Li Xiao slumped on his chair. Everyone had dispersed, leaving him alone and sleepy. At this time, footsteps sounded in the bright hall, but it was Yun Ying who walked over wearing starry sky camouflage pants and a white t-shirt. Brother Li? Can you still leave? Li Xiao looked at Yun Ying's delicate and pretty face in a daze, and asked doubtfully, Yun Ying, why haven't you gone back yet? Brother asked me to come back and take care of you. You are already drunk. Why don't you go back to the hotel room and take a rest first? Okay. Yun Ying's soft hand held Li Xiao's arm, and the two staggered into the elevator, probably due to the inertia of the ups and downs of the elevator. Li Xiao suddenly felt his stomach churn, and he couldn't help but vomit. Vomit mixed with food and drink instantly sprayed on Yun Ying's waist and pants. But at this time, he had lost much consciousness, and he didn't even know how to get back to the room. After a while, he seemed to feel someone taking off his clothes, and a stream of heat was moving around his body, but he was too sleepy and fell asleep in a daze. I don't know how long it took, but Li Xiao vaguely heard the sound of water and slowly opened his eyes. But then he saw a scene that almost made him spurt blood. I saw a female figure reflected on the frosted glass wall of the bathroom on one side of the room. Those slender arms, exquisite waistline, perky breasts, and perfect buttocks all made Li Xiao's blood swell and his cheeks heat up. Fuck. Who is this? Li Xiao nervously turned his back, but a man's instinct made him want to look back. There was no curtain in the damn bathroom. Li Xiao was trying to recall what happened after drinking. At this time, he suddenly lifted the quilt and found that he was wearing pajamas, with only a pair of shorts underneath. Li Xiaozhang was at a loss when suddenly the bathroom door opened. He quickly closed his eyes and tried to maintain steady breathing. Behind him, Yun Ying, who was wearing a bathrobe, shrank back when she saw Li Xiao turning over. Then there was the sound of people getting dressed, and then the door clicked shut. Li Xiao took a deep breath and quickly sat up from the bed and looked at the door. There was only a set of clothes that looked familiar to Li Xiao, and nothing else. Li Xiao walked up and found some stains on his clothes. He suddenly remembered, weren't these the clothes Yun Ying wore last night? Fuck. Yun Ying. It's over. If Yun Dongliu knew that I saw his sister taking a bath, wouldn't he want to kill me? Li Xiao was so frightened that he lost his drunkenness. When he first met Yun Dongliu, he was desperately trying to save his sister. He still remembers the scene of Naihu's tragic death. Well, it's okay. Just say that I was in a daze and didn't know anything, Li Xiao comforted himself. After an uneventful night, Li Xiao returned to the base safely in the morning. On the team channel, Li Unian issued an announcement about the capture of Zhejiang City. The entire team will have 3 days to prepare, and 3 days later will be the day to attack the city. This was the combat order issued by Li Xiao at the celebration banquet last night. After detailed discussions, they believe that Team Xiaoyo now has the ability to attack Zhejiang and they really can't delay any longer. The global situation is ever-changing. Every day they fall behind, they will lose more initiative. Li Xiao recalled all his troops, and in the battle to regain the southern part of Zhejiang, more than 7,000 people, more than 600 vehicles, accumulated health points of 800,000, and durability points of 1.1 million were wiped out. He planned to add all the 1.1 million durability to the existing and later Tiger off-road vehicles to ensure the penetration capability during the general attack on Zhejiang. The health points were evenly distributed to all the more than 120 people in his hands. Because of the extremely high health points, Li Xiao's troops had strong survivability, which also allowed Di Yun, Zhao Fipeng and other front-line troops who had been fighting in succession to be promoted to the level of second lieutenant at the same time. Their ability ratings were also improved. Especially after the Longming training, Di Yun's rank had broken through the G level and reached the strength of about 3 stars in the F level. In addition to the high improvement in his marksmanship, technical and tactical movements, this brought him a comprehensive improvement in battlefield awareness, task execution ability, and team command ability. Moreover, after being promoted to second lieutenant, the system replaced him with a bulletproof suit made of Kevlar material and special steel composite protection, which had a strong resistance to light machine guns and explosion fragments, and the damage reduction effect was significant. In many battles, Li Xiao continued to increase his health limit, which also brought the health of this platoon leader to 250,000 points, making him a humanoid boss-like existence on the battlefield. Of course, Zhao Fipeng and Leng Li were about to be promoted to second lieutenants, and Li Xiao had raised their HP to over 100,000. I believe that after another battle, they would be able to achieve a qualitative leap. 2 days later, in the morning, Li Xiao finally waited for the completion of the 9th level base. Chapter 71 New Situation. In the context of the current level 6 base per capita, the level may 9th not necessarily be ahead, but it is definitely one of the most advanced people in the world. Of course, if Li Xiao is ruthless, he may already be on the way to upgrading the level 10 base. The level 9 base has expanded to 20,000 square meters, and Li Xiao may have to walk for several minutes to get out of the base. Now the military factory of the level 9 base does not have any new vehicles or new equipment, but Li Xiao finally got a brand new building, the comprehensive supply plant. This is a comprehensive factory dedicated to providing food and material production for soldiers. You can spend money to purchase various fresh ingredients and cotton and other clothing materials in the markets of major cities, and then transport them to the comprehensive supply plant, and this building will produce delicious field individual food and individual clothing, backpacks, bedding and other supplies. This building can be said to be very timely. Li Xiao's food reserves are not much, and he has now stopped supplying food to Yun Dongliu and Liunian. With this building, he can purchase grain, vegetables, meat and other raw materials from the market at a low price to make field march food, and get rid of the constraints of relying solely on seizure for supply. You should know that as the number of players' troops grows steadily, the source of food has become a more difficult problem than resources and ammunition because the amount of star coin seized is small. Normal players cannot purchase food from the market stably, so some players have already reclaimed wasteland around the base to grow food and vegetables, and even raised livestock. In fact, if it is in the base, the food supply is not a headache, because Du Zedong can process raw materials. The real headache is that his troops often fight outside, and field rations are consumed very quickly. This thing cannot be bought on the market, and can only be seized. Although Du Zedong's cooking team can cook with the army, this will delay a lot of time for fast-moving troops. Now that there is a supply planned, the problem of field food is solved, and even the clothing guarantee for the upcoming autumn and winter season can be solved together. The only regret is that the offensive arms and equipment he urgently needs have not appeared in this way. The Battle of Xichen will probably be an extremely difficult battle on the last day of the second month after arriving at Hanhaistar. The Battle of the Xiaoyao team to attack Xichen was about to begin. Li Xiao assembled almost 90% of the team's forces, and a total of 80,000 troops from 4 directions began to gather at the 4 entrances to Xichen. Among them, Yun Dongliu led 10,000 troops in the west, Qin Luming led 10,000 troops in the south, Zuanayu led 10,000 troops in the east, and the main attack direction was 50,000 troops in the north. As if aware of the coming of danger, the night before the attack, the Xichen Armored Synthetic Regiment divided its forces into 4 parts. Except for the north, there were 10 main battle tanks blocking the necessary roads in each direction at the same time. There were 20 armored personnel carriers, 10 armored combat vehicles and command vehicles. What was even more surprising was that the soldiers sent by Yun Dongliu to sneak into the city to spy on intelligence reported that the synthetic regiment did not know where 20 infantry fighting vehicles equipped with 25mm twin rapid-fire guns and telescopic anti-tank missile launchers appeared overnight. If it was just the shells fired by the main battle tanks, Li Xiao could still approach with a human wave tactics, and then rely on the Syrian suicide attack to destroy the tanks. Then the appearance of 5 infantry fighting vehicles in each direction would be a massacre of the attacking forces. The armor-piercing incendiary bombs equipped with the twin 25mm rapid-fire guns would be a nightmare for the attacking light armored vehicles, and also a hell for the infantry on foot. What to do? The war is about to start. Should we call a halt? Li Unian looked at the intelligence briefing in his hand and looked at Li Xiao worriedly. The infantry group charged without effective anti-armor weapons will only become a live target for the enemy. Even those who don't understand it know this truth. The troops are all in place. If they are withdrawn like this, it will greatly affect morale, and it will also provide time for the Black Hawk Empire to increase its troops, which will make it even more difficult to fight. Li Xiao expressed his doubts. Now the Xiaoyao team is in a dilemma, and there are still many scattered players outside the Creek City waiting for the outcome of Li Xiao's battle. If they win, then the remaining players will definitely throw themselves into the arms of the Xiaoyao team without hesitation. If they lose, then not only will the individual players take the opportunity to make trouble, but there will also be conflicts within the team, and then it will not be long before the split. Li Unian, change the plan now. The original 2,000 troops to backstab the Black Hawk defenders from Xichen High School to the north will be changed to 10,000. You will lead the team in person and break into the defense zone at all costs. Blow up those iron lumps for me. Even if you can't blow them up, you must attract enough firepower for me. Okay. I'll go now. Li Unian turned around and shouted in the team channel. The 21st to 30th teams will go to assemble at the coordinates immediately. 80,000 people is equivalent to 8 infantry divisions without anti-armor capabilities attacking an armored synthetic regiment with sufficient ammunition and deep defense buildings. Li Xiao is not a professional military commander. What he can do is to efficiently defeat the enemy with as few casualties as possible. Zhuan Yu, Yun Dongliu, Qin Luming, pay attention. Gunshots have been heard in the north. You must attack with all your strength. Understood, understood. After getting confirmation, Li Xiao took a deep breath and shouted in the team's hierarchical command channel, First Echelon, prepare to attack in 5 minutes, civilian off-road vehicles in front. Tiger off-road vehicles in the back. All-terrain vehicles quickly insert from both sides. More than 20 people including Liu Nian in the team have been upgraded to level 7. In the past few days, more than 70 Tiger off-road vehicles have been produced. His plan is to use civilian off-road vehicles to track the firepower of tanks and infantry fighting vehicles, cover the approach of Tiger off-road vehicles equipped with heavy machine guns, and consume the HP of armored personnel carriers and infantry fighting vehicles first. Then his high HP Tiger off-road vehicles will break through the defense and create an explosion opportunity for the all-terrain vehicles with a large amount of C4 explosives. As soon as the 5 minutes were up, the players of the combat team commanded the troops to charge. At once, Hundreds of civilian off-road vehicles charged towards the toll station at the intersection. The Black Hawk defenders also opened fire immediately. 30 main battle tanks blocked the toll station and fired at the off-road vehicles entering the 8-lane traffic area of the intersection. Dozens of 125mm high-pressure smoothbore guns burst out with deafening sound waves. The tungsten alloy tail-stabilized armor-piercing shells fired instantly penetrated the bodies of multiple off-road vehicles charging in formation and then exploded. The huge explosion range and lethal shrapnel affected a bunch of vehicles. In just this wave of volleys, more than 70 vehicles and more than 300 soldiers in the first echelon were gone. Chapter 72, War Meet Grinding Ground. But the follow-up vehicles continued to rush forward. They knocked away the destroyed scrap cars and drove towards the enemy's guns without hesitation. At this time, dozens of armored personnel carriers in front of the tanks opened fire, and the firepower network composed of dozens of heavy machine guns firmly blocked the assault troops at the intersection. But the scrapped cars there gathered more and more, and became a powerful roadblock for the Black Hawk Empire troops. Li Ziao saw this and immediately shouted on the command channel, "Engineering team." The order was issued, and several engineers jumped out of dozens of cars in front of the scrapped car roadblock. They quickly came to the scrapped car pile with toolboxes in hand and took out the C4 explosives that had been prepared long ago. It turned out that before the war, Li Ziao and others had considered this issue, and later they decided to bring an engineer on each assault vehicle. On the one hand, C4 blasting can be used to clear the roadblocks blocked by vehicle explosions, and on the other hand, it is also for launching suicide attacks at critical moments. This is a helpless and tragic fact. Without armored troops, they have to sacrifice countless lives every time they advance 1 meter. With a series of violent explosions, the piles of scrapped cars were blown apart by the shock wave and continued to roll forward to form an obstacle again. However, Li Ziao did not feel frustrated, because he did it on purpose, and the C4 blasting direction was intended to be forward. Because these scrapped cars are not only the roadblocks of the Black Hawk Empire, but also the shields of the Ziao team. Most of the bullets of the enemy's heavy machine guns are blocked by these overlapping scrapped cars. Although they cannot block tank artillery, blocking heavy machine gun bullets may also make the assault troops a lot easier. In fact, this scene was being played out at the same time in the 4 siege directions of Zicheng. Relying on this method, nearly 10,000 people in the first echelon approached a position nearly 200 or 300 meters away from the toll station at the headquarters of the Zicheng Synthetic Regiment of the Black Hawk Empire. Lieutenant Colonel Chen Jun looked at the huge LCD projection screen in the command hall, which showed real-time battle scenes from 4 directions. When he saw the Ziao team using scrapped vehicles to resist attacks and approaching continuously, his eyes suddenly became sharp. He called the communications officer and ordered, "Main battle tanks fire rapidly, and all mortar companies extend their fire to cut off the enemy's engineering troops." The order was quickly transmitted to the ears of the commanders of the Black Hawk troops through the radio, and then the tanks with automatic loaders started the rampage mode. Shells fell mercilessly on the heads of the Ziao troops. The organized mortar company fired shells fiercely as if it was free, and fireballs continued to bloom on the highway, and the smoke immediately filled the air. Less than 10 minutes after the start of the war, Li Ziao had killed more than 2,000 people on the front battlefield, while the Black Hawk Empire only lost some durability and ammunition. "It seems that I still underestimated the Black Hawk Empire's attack methods." Li Ziao lowered his head and pondered. Although the other 3 sides were only feints, the casualties were also great. He was considering whether to start using the M20's 4-barreled rocket launcher, which was not a large number. At this time, Li Unian sent a message that the infiltration troops had gathered at Zicheng High School, and he asked Li Ziao if he could launch an attack. Li Ziao thought for a minute, asked Li Unian to wait, and then ordered the first echelon to get off the car and attack on foot. So a large number of soldiers abandoned their vehicles and crossed the abandoned vehicles, and broke into the toll station from the highway. But they were soon strafed by heavy machine gun fire, and groups of soldiers fell in a pool of blood, but even so, no soldier retreated. They rushed to the armored defense line one after another, leaving a pile of corpses on the wide lane in front of the toll station. But these corpses became human shelters for the successors to resist bullets. At the cost of nearly 1,000 deaths, the forward route advanced to a position 100 meters away from the toll station. Seeing that the troops in front attracted enough firepower, Li Ziao hurriedly asked the players in the first echelon to organize the engineers to blast obstacles again and guide the all-terrain convoy into the battlefield. although bullets flew overhead and shells continued to explode on the ground, causing dense craters. The engineers still gradually cleared the obstacles under the artillery fire. In the 10 minutes of clearing the roadblocks, the first echelon had already laid down more than 3,000 soldiers in front of the toll station, and more than half of the troops were lost. Fortunately, the roadblocks had been cleared, and a large number of all-terrain vehicles poured into the toll station passage area from the passage. There were more than 1,000 organized all-terrain vehicles. They rushed through the defense densely like an ant colony, and the tires were forced to crush the bodies of their comrades and charge towards the Black Hawk troops. Just as the group of all-terrain vehicles rushed through the human shelter built by the infantry of the first echelon, the tanks that had blocked the road suddenly retreated, and 5 infantry fighting vehicles drove out. Then Li Xiao heard the harsh roar of the twin-mounted rapid-fire guns, and hundreds of armor-piercing shells per second each formed a fan-shaped barrage and pounced on the all-terrain vehicles. Bang 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 bang. The dense all-terrain vehicles could not avoid the attack of the rapid-fire guns at all. Armor-piercing shell with up to 2,000 points of vehicle damage could kill an all-terrain vehicle in seconds. If you can look down from a high altitude, you can see that the shells fired by the infantry fighting vehicles are like sparks that set off the firecracker like all-terrain vehicles, but not every shell fired by the infantry fighting vehicles can hit the target, and the all-terrain vehicles that come head-on are not all unlucky. In just a distance of 100 or 200 meters, the infantry fighting vehicles intercepted nearly half of the all-terrain vehicle group, and the remaining half were taken away by heavy machine guns at close range. Even so, hundreds of vehicles still rushed to the armored personnel carriers, and the infantry on the vehicles fearlessly pulled the fuse of the C4 explosives and then rushed towards the Black Hawk troops. The loud noise produced by the C4 explosion overwhelmed the tank guns, and small mushroom clouds rose into the sky. 20 or armor-30 personnel carriers were destroyed after the Xiaoyao team paid the price of nearly 8,000 deaths. Li Xiao's heart was bleeding. It was so easy for him to fight back against a dozen armored personnel carriers and combat vehicles of the synthetic company sent by Zichen to encircle him, and now, just a gap in equipment has cost so much blood. Without the continuous strafing of heavy machine guns, the more than 1,000 soldiers surviving in front of the toll station were able to hold on, but the artillery fire of the infantry fighting vehicle had not stopped, and the armor-piercing bullets easily penetrated a pile of corpses, causing fatal damage to the soldiers hiding behind. Second echelon. Continue the attack. Liu Nian, your infiltration troops can start the action. The 10,000 people in the second echelon launched a human wave tactic, and rushed to the toll station like a flood under the fire of 200 civilian vehicles. Because of the roadblocks and corpses, Li Xiao did not send the Tiger off-road vehicle and his troops in the first echelon, otherwise he would have been annihilated now. Now he expects the second echelon to consume enough durability of those tanks and infantry fighting vehicles, so that his rocket launcher can form an instant kill, and thus advance into the city in one wave. Chapter 73 Bombing. It was just a beautiful imagination. Even though the armored personnel carriers were completely destroyed by Li Xiao, there were still heavy machine guns on 5 infantry fighting vehicles, including parallel machine guns on 30 tanks. The combined firepower still caused heavy casualties to the second echelon. The only thing to be thankful for was that dozens of civilian vehicles broke through to the front line, providing more than 20 heavy machine guns, ammunition and bunkers for the soldiers lying there. This became Li Xiao's only unit that could cause damage to the Black Hawk troops, but they were then suppressed by the mortar troops and the light and heavy machine guns on the high-rise building behind the gas station. Keep attacking. Press forward at all costs. At present, 30% of the second echelon has been killed, and the players in the team channel are complaining. At this moment, Li Xiao can't care about much. Has Liu Nian arrived yet? Almost. 3 minutes left, just like when the Black Hawk Empire attacked the Xianai Republic troops. After the combined regiment divided its troops into 4 defense routes, there was no defender in the city at all. Liu Nian led 10,000 people to run all the way, and the streets were full of the crackling sound of military boots. 3 minutes sounded very easy to Liu Nian, but for the 4 battlefields, every second meant dozens or hundreds of people were killed. Finally, when the casualties of the second echelon exceeded half, dense gunfire came from behind the toll station, and Liu Nian's infiltration troops launched a full-scale offensive according to the predetermined plan. Each combat team quickly captured the street building behind the toll station and quickly annihilated the Black Hawk troops lurking on the building. The Black Hawk troops defending the toll station were suddenly attacked from both sides and panicked. More than a dozen tanks immediately turned their turrets to bombard the Xiaoyao troops in the building. But their firepower could not stop thousands of troops from rushing in. Before they could fire a few shots, the toll station was already flooded by Liunian's troops. But at this moment, there was a rumbling sound in the sky. Li Xiao was muttering something familiar when he heard the sound, and then a terrifying scream came from above his head. No. It's a bomber. Everyone get down. Li Xiao only had time to shout in the team channel, and then a heavy aerial bomb landed and exploded within 50 meters of him. The huge explosion sounded instantly with a piercing sonic boom, and the shock wave instantly knocked him out several positions. Then an invisible pressure immediately made Li Xiao feel an unbearable pain in his chest and abdomen, and breathing became extremely difficult. About a second later, a large amount of sand and stones fell on him. Cough cough, Li Xiao struggled to get up and opened his dusty eyelids. Only then did he see that the life pool in his field of vision had dropped by 5,000. This made him take a breath of cold air. Before he lay down, he saw that the large aerial bomb fell more than 50 meters away. He should have been at the edge of the explosion range. Even so, he still took nearly 5,000 points of damage. I dare not imagine how tragic the explosion center would be, but there is no need to think about it. 5 bombers dropped hundreds of heavy aerial bombs along the highway to the toll station. The Xiaoyao troops crowded on the highway for 2 kilometers were immediately hit hard, with nearly 8,000 casualties. A large number of vehicles were blown off the road, and the highway and toll station passage area were full of huge craters with a diameter of more than 10 meters. The Xiaoyao troops who had been standing firm in front of the toll station were directly harvested. Li Xiao was speechless. He thought about the various defense methods of the Black Hawk Empire, and even thought about the reinforcement of the outer Black Hawk army, but he didn't think about the sky. This loophole made him pay a painful price and caused dozens of players to die on the spot. Quick! All medical soldiers come in to rescue, Li Xiao shouted in the team channel, trying to control the emotions of the players at this time. The teammates in the other 3 directions seemed to know about the earth-shaking explosion here. Yun Dongliu was the first to call to inquire about the situation. When Li Xiao told him about the losses, he also fell silent. Li Xiao, don't worry, the battle is not over yet. Cheer up, Yun Dongliu hung up the voice after saying that. Liunian in the city saw the tragic situation outside the toll station. His eyes suddenly turned bloodshot, and he directly ordered all the troops to press forward. Finally, the C4 explosives on the dozen tanks and combat vehicles that blocked Liunian were detonated by hundreds of brave soldiers, and they were engulfed by the fireballs together with these iron lumps of the Empire. Li Xiao saw the explosion at the toll station and didn't care about blaming himself. Taking this opportunity, he finally sent out the final troops. Because he was worried about being locked by the enemy's mortar, Li Xiao led his first and second rows, and the hundreds of Tiger off-road vehicles of the team members hid in the fields beside the highway in the rear, so that they could survive the bombing. These off-road vehicles rushed towards the tank group under the cover of the thousands of soldiers remaining in the second echelon. The infantry fighting vehicles and a dozen tanks that discovered the military off-road vehicles quickly turned their guns from the large group of infantry to the new vehicles. Boom! A tungsten alloy armor-piercing bullet penetrated the front of an off-road vehicle and went directly into the vehicle. The fuse had detonated the bullet body, and the whole vehicle disintegrated on the spot. The tank gun had almost a 100% hit rate at such a close distance. 2 rounds of volleys within half a minute destroyed more than 30 off-road vehicles, but that was all, because Liunian's troops had completely surrounded the toll station, surrounding the tank troops and all combat vehicles. Countless C4 plastic explosives were attached to the armored vehicles. After a loud noise like an earthquake, the Zicheng toll station was declared breached. More than 15,000 surviving members of the 3rd and 4th echelons who were bombed rushed into the city with shouts. At the same time, the combined regiment began to retreat from the other 3 directions to the streets near the municipal building, where the regiment headquarters was located. A total of more than 42,000 people from the Xiaoyao team's 5th group surrounded the municipal building and gradually advanced, using the buildings on both sides of the street as bunkers. Quick! Use tanks to block the street for me. Move all the fuel barrels to the road, and let me pour water on those cars to stop the alien troops from advancing even one step. On the municipal building, the mood of Chen Jun, the leader of the synthetic group, could be described as being surrounded on all sides and ambushed on all sides with all the precautions. He never expected that he would follow in the footsteps of the Xianyu troops, which also collapsed due to infiltration into the city. Even with bomber reinforcements, the defeat could no longer be saved. Now I am afraid he can only live and die with Zicheng. Even if he escapes on the military transport helicopter on the roof, he may not be able to escape the trial of the military court, Lao Zio. The tank is too tough, the heavy machine gun can't move it at all, and the street is blocked by a large number of burning roadblocks. Rushing in like this is no different from dying. Unless you use people to force it. No, Li Zio quickly stopped him. We can't let the troops die in vain anymore. More than half of us have been killed. Let everyone be on standby. I have a way. Chapter 74. What is a surprise? After saying that, Li Zio turned around and said to Di Yun and Yang Zhao behind him, take your troops and 4-barreled rocket launchers, close in and shoot, and make sure to kill those dozen tanks and infantry fighting vehicles. Yes, Di Yun and Yang Zhao answered in unison, and then turned and left the tall building where Li Zio was. After obtaining the 4-barreled rocket launcher, Li Zio started to manufacture it non-stop. So far, there are 4 guns and more than 160 rockets, although he knew that these were far from enough to destroy the dozen main battle tanks in front of him. Di Yun and Yang Zhao quickly reached the residential building on the side of the roadblock burning with raging flames. Di Yun and Yang Zhao's 2 platoons sent the most bloody soldiers to hold 2 rocket launchers each. Di Yun even personally carried a rocket launcher and aimed at the main battle tank that was waiting for an opportunity to fire not far downstairs in order to facilitate continuous firing. Only 2 rocket launchers were fired at the same time. When Di Yun finished counting down 3 times, he and a corporal pulled the trigger at the same time, and multiple rockets flew out of the launch tube at the same time, flying towards the same tank. The top of the tank that was rotating the turret immediately burst into flames and smoke. If it was on Blue Star, Li Zio had reason to believe that this tank would be destroyed even if it was not blown up. Even if it was replaced with an armored personnel carrier on Hanhei Star, the single-shot damage of 8,000 would have taken away 2 tanks. Unfortunately, this kind of rocket only caused 48,000 points of damage in total when it hit the tank of the Black Hawk Empire, taking advantage of the smoke caused by the rockets blocking the vision of the infantry fighting vehicles and tanks. The second round of rockets flew out again. Thousands of soldiers of the Zia Oyo team hit on both sides of the street and watched Di Yun and his team perform. Within a few minutes, 3 rounds of 48 rockets were fired, and Di Yun finally saw the tank catch fire and explode, and the turret was blown open by the ammunition that exploded, just like opening a can. At this time, the rest of the tanks and infantry fighting vehicles began to fire back at them. The tank guns directly penetrated a wall and hit the room, causing considerable damage to the firing group. Fortunately, there were some tough guys inside, so there were no casualties for the time being. Di Yun led everyone to another building to continue firing. After more than 10 minutes of loading and firing, the 3 tanks were completely destroyed. However, just when Di Yun fired the last round of rockets, the 2 infantry fighting vehicles actually fired an anti-tank missile at the same time. Di Yun and others who were just about to evacuate were caught off guard by the missiles in an instant. The high explosives and the armor-piercing blasting bombs triggered hundreds of metal jets. Di Yun, who was closest to the explosion location, took the initiative to block behind them to protect the 2 loaders. However, the power of the anti-tank missile far exceeded that of the tank gun. Di Yun lost more than 100,000 horsepower in an instant, and the 2 loaders could not be saved. Seeing this, Li Zio immediately asked them to withdraw. Li Unian looked at the 9 tanks still on the street and said anxiously, Lao Zio, why did you withdraw? There is almost 1 tank company left. Li Zio leaned against the window helplessly. This is all the ammunition I have. I am afraid I can only rely on people next. As soon as these words came out, Li Unian and the players around him were silent. In this battle, the team's strength was greatly damaged, and it would take at least a week or 2 to recover. What was even more uncomfortable was the dozens of teammates who died in the bombing. Although they were all for the common interests, who wanted to be the first to die? Li Zio pondered and finally made up his mind to attack. At this time, Li came forward and reported, Boss. The Dark Soul mercenary group leader Wang Xi is looking for you. Mercenary group? When did you know this person? Li Unian was surprised. This Li Zio is really a secret every moment. Li Zio was also a little surprised. Why did he look for him at this time? He said to Li Unian, this is a local native. I met him by chance. After taking the satellite phone, Wang Xi said carelessly, Brother Li Zio, I heard from Changzon that your siege was blocked and suffered heavy losses. Changzon? Did he tell you? Changzon was introduced to Wang Xi by Li Zio. Their mercenary group has a wide range of business and dares to make friends with any forces. They are popular with both Black Hawk and Xianyu. Before the war, Li Xiao asked Chang Zhan for help, but Chang Zhan clearly said that his team only had 100 or 200 people and the equipment was not good. The only supporting firepower, the mortar platoon, also used up its stock of artillery shells when attacking the Qinchuan team last time, so it was unable to participate in the war this time. Now that Wang Xi has come to find him, it seems that Chang Zhan has also put in a lot of effort. Brother, I have a way to help you solve the current difficulties, but it depends on whether you can afford it. Do you have a way? 200,000 star coins. I will help you solve those iron turtles. The mercenary group spies seem to be quite powerful. Even in a city with such fierce fighting, they can still obtain accurate intelligence. Unfortunately, Li Xiao shook his head. I can't even take out 10,000 star coins now. How can I get 200,000 star coins for you? Haha. Without 200,000 star coins, you can still use the method you are good at to make up the account. You mean, I have added 30 pickup trucks here now. As long as you give me 100,000 durability for each one, this thing will be done. Really? Li Xiao was overjoyed. He really couldn't take out the star coins, but as for the durability, the 30 tanks, 5 infantry fighting vehicles and dozens of armored personnel carriers that were just destroyed at the toll station had provided him with nearly 10 million durability points. We, the Dark Soul Mercenary Group, stick to a word, okay. Deal. Wang Xi laughed loudly. Brother, look up at the sky. Don't blink. The satellite phone was hung up, and dozens of seconds later, people saw white smoke bands suddenly appearing in the northern sky, and the rumbling sound of breaking through the air came from far away, which was extremely terrifying. When those smoke bands flew over his head, Li Xiao realized that they were actually rockets. Yes, rockets. Li Xiao slapped his head and remembered that when he upgraded the pickup trucks for the Dark Soul Mercenary Group last time, most of the cargo boxes were equipped with rocket launchers in a blink of an eye. These rockets, which were several times larger than the M20s, fell on the heads of tanks and infantry fighting vehicles one after another. The strong light produced by the instantaneous explosion covered the morning sunlight. It must be said that the power of these vehicle-mounted rockets is fierce. The continuous bombardment of several waves of rockets blew through the solid turrets and infantry fighting vehicle armor in Li Xiao's eyes. When the fourth wave of rockets fell, there was no tank left on the field that could move. Li Xiao was extremely excited. The damage of each of these rockets was at least 20,000 to 30,000. Wang Xi's men were really powerful. They relied on the coordinates collected by their own intelligence to hit the rocket within a 10-meter error. Li Xiao almost became a die-hard fan of the mercenary group. Chapter 75, Zicheng changes its owner. Fuck. Lao Xiao, what's the origin of your mercenary group? Isn't it too powerful? Li Unian was also confused. Their helpless situation was resolved just like that. Humph, the Black Hawk Empire is allowed to summon bombers, but I am not allowed to seek external help. Li Xiao quickly called Wang Xi back. The leader said proudly, how is it, brother Li Xiao, are you satisfied? Satisfied. Very satisfied. We must have a good drink after today. Okay, I'll wait for you, but you must remember your promise. I am to the ammunition depot. It must be. Li Xiao hung up the phone and shouted to Liunian, what are you waiting for? Launch a general attack. At Liunian's order, more than 10,000 people ran past a charred tank wreckage and rushed to the municipal building. The last tank troops of the synthetic regiment were transferred to the north to block Li Xiao with all their strength. At this time, the tank company and the synchronized fighting vehicles were indiscriminately destroyed by rockets, and the Black Hawk troops could no longer provide a decent defensive force. Thousands of soldiers rushed to the few isolated armored personnel carriers guarding the City Hall building, and almost effortlessly completed the encirclement. The synthetic regiment was doomed, and the Black Hawk armored forces that blocked Xiao's feint attack on the other three sides gathered the remaining few infantry fighting vehicles and more than a dozen armored personnel carriers, and actually broke out from the east. Zhuanyu, who lacked effective means of confrontation, could only watch the enemy break through his defense and escape. When Di Yun led a row of dozens of brothers to attack the regiment headquarters command hall, he was desperately resisted by more than 100 imperial soldiers from the regiment headquarters guard company. Li Xiao didn't want to waste too much time at all. The ranks of the soldiers in the synthetic regiment were not low. Less than 2,000 deaths had brought him more than 600,000 health points, and the life pool had accumulated to more than 1 million. He added 150,000 health points to each of Lang's 5 machine gunners. The 5 of them held a squad machine gun and swept all the way from the gate to the back hall, from the bottom of the building to the rooftop. Finally, they found Chen Jun, the commander of the synthetic regiment, who was resisting stubbornly in the satellite equipment room on the rooftop. This lieutenant colonel with 1,500 health points was holding a DBS shotgun with a single shot damage of 150 points and a loading capacity of 15 rounds, trying to take away the last soldier before he died. However, he met Di Yun, who still had more than 100,000 health points left. Di Yun stood in front of him and watched him finish shooting 15 shotgun shells at himself, then walked over and tied up the imperial officer who Chang Zhan wanted to kill day and night. Chen Jun couldn't believe that the soldier in front of him with the rank of second lieutenant had more than 2,000 health points. Even if he had used up all the bullets, the other party didn't even show a serious injury. Is it really as Zhang Yan said? This is a devilish unit. Chen Jun remembered what his capable general, Zhang Yan, the commander of the synthetic battalion, said to him before he broke through the blockade and escaped from Zichen with an armored company. Li Xiao looked at Chen Jun, who was brought to him by Di Yun, and said calmly, "Mr. Lieutenant Colonel, you will be the first imperial regimental officer I killed. I think the 40,000 dead soldiers can rest in peace. Don't be happy too early. The power of the empire is beyond your imagination. Bombings like today will be commonplace for you in the future, and they will be even more fierce in the future." Chen Jun glared at Li Xiao fiercely, and the middle-aged man's eyes were full of contempt. "It's a pity you can't see it." After saying that, Di Yun grabbed Chen Jun, whose hands were tied, and dragged him to the edge of the rooftop, then stuffed a fragmentation grenade with a safety pin pulled out into his collar and pushed him down the 15-story building. Boom! When it was about to land, the grenade exploded, and Chen Jun's body hit the ground with a bang. System prompt: your Xia Oyo team successfully occupied Zichen, Yongchang's Hao, Xianai Republic. The Zichen resource area is open to all members of the Xia Oyo team from now on. The team headquarters and the team military factory have been unlocked. If resource areas such as Qiao Town and the chemical plant are public resource points where everyone can send engineers to collect resources, then Zichen has now become the exclusive resource area of the Xia Oyo team, and outsiders no longer have the right to enter the city to collect. When Li Xiao opened the team panel, he also found a new menu, that is, the territory menu. The name of Zichen was already listed, and he could also directly allocate Zichen's resource allocation. For example, the total amount of 200,000 steel, 200,000 fuel oil, and 100,000 rare ores in Zichen every day. He can fix the amount that each team member can collect. You can also set the team's public resource holdings, so that when the team members collect resources, one of the 2 points collected will be included in the team's public resources. This public resource can be used to build the team headquarters and military factories, as well as to produce high-level weapons and equipment in the name of the team in the future. This system prompt sounded in the minds of all team members, and everyone knew that this meant that Zichen was completely in their hands. "We won!" Li Xiao couldn't help but shout to the Xia Oyo troops below on the rooftop, and cheers resounded through the streets around the city hall. "We won! We won!" After paying the price of nearly 40,000 casualties and dozens of team members' deaths, Li Xiao finally felt relieved. He had reason to believe that this victory would be the beginning of the Xia Oyo team's takeoff. The aftermath is being carried out in an orderly manner. After the battle, the Black Hawk tank armored unit was replaced by a suicide attack. This caused the loyalty of many players' soldiers to drop again and again, and even on the second day, soldiers defected. In more serious cases, soldiers shot officers. After an emergency discussion, Li Xiao and Liunian and other senior commanders decided to suspend combat activities for at least 2 weeks, and suggested that players take out their own star points to compensate soldiers with low loyalty, so that they can relax as much as possible. So far, they have no professional psychological intervention arms, and can only use this external material form to alleviate the negative emotions of the troops. On the other hand, the team headquarters and military factories have also begun preparations for construction. Because it is built using the team's public resources, it is useless for players to raise resources by themselves. The cost of building the headquarters is 100,000 for each of the 3 resources. This is simple. On the morning of the second day, Liunian mobilized all team members to dispatch engineers to the city to collect resources, and started construction at noon. The function of the headquarters is similar to that of the player's headquarters. Once a team's headquarters in an occupied city is destroyed, it means that the team has lost the city. Some people say that you can just not build it. Unfortunately, if you don't build a headquarters, the resources in the city cannot be moved, And military factories can only be built and operated when a headquarters exists. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.